Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman, live, direct, it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right, folks. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth. Hope that you guys had a fabulous weekend. And we got stuff going on here in the studio. So I noticed that Blake just, you guys might not have heard him, but he just recognized my on-air sign in the background. He's like, oh, that's new and nice. I'm like, no, it's actually been there for, I probably don't want to say a year, but it's been there a really, really long time. And so, believe it or not, but because it was kind of blurred out, I guess a lot of people didn't see it. So there you go. Trying a new camera out. So the background is a little bit more clear than it was before. So you guys will have to let me know if it makes a difference. I can barely hear myself though. Let me make some adjustments to the microphone. Yeah, so trying something different. I'll explain to you guys why another day. But cameras make you look differently and everything. There's lighting. The lighting hasn't really changed, but lighting with a different camera can make you look differently. So give me your feedback. Let me know if you like it before, if you prefer how it is now. The background has less of a blurred effect. And in the world of photography, they call it a bouquet. Some people pronounce that slightly differently, but most people just use that term, that pronunciation. So let me know what y'all think, honey chill. Always trying to improve around here. I feel like this could go down a little bit more, but my stand is a little bit big, actually. My microphone stand. So it sits right on this little desk. At some point, maybe I can just move it like over here, completely out of the way. Is that any better? Can you guys hear me better? Does it look better? Sound is the most important thing though. So even if it looks good, if it doesn't sound good, then we can't have it work. But tell me what y'all think about this. I'm getting you're my co-host some days, so I'm getting your feedback on what y'all think around the place. Where's Denny? Because Denny's always giving me feedback on lighting. He's like the lighting and photography expert. So he's always giving me feedback on this. So what we have now, although I think I look a little bit, I wonder if I can bring the camera in a little bit more. So this is a new 4K webcam, supposed to be one of the best on the best available out there. So 4K is the quality of the lens. You guys know about HD. Most of you have heard about HD. So 4K is 4 times HD quality. And it's unusual to have in a webcam, but they're starting to step things up a little bit. So what that means is you're going to see every little thing around here now with a 4K camera, honey child. Y'all notice the clock in the background that says 7:34. Now it just changed to 7:35. You can see the flag a little bit better. You can see my Cayman Mall Road sign. I don't know if you guys can notice the plates underneath it, but those are my Cayman plates and stuff as well. So let me know what y'all think, how you like it. Good morning to Miss Vernita. Good morning to Alejandro. Wee Wee's in the house. Um, Alejandro says the purple lipstick is making you look relaxing. That's interesting. I decided to go bold or go home today. Wearing white, which is such a neutral color. So I thought, oh, let me spruce it up with a little bit of purple lipstick. So thank you for noticing, Alejandro. Appreciate it. Richard is in the house. He says lighting looks good, clear and bright. Thank you. Appreciate that feedback as well. And we've got Miss Debbie who is joining us. Hello, Debbie. How are you? So we do have the premiere who's going to be joining the show around 8 o'clock this morning. And in the meantime, we're going to have some open mic opportunity. So I hope that you guys had a fabulous weekend. I did. I went to the movies this weekend, and I saw the movie, what's it called? Mario Brothers. So kid friendly, although, they say kid friendly, but a 6-year-old still gets scared when she sees, what's his name? Bruiser or Bowser or whoever the little mean guy is in the movie. Every movie has to have a main character, I guess, if it's not a romantic comedy or something. But yeah, she was a little bit like, oh, I don't like him, I'm scared. So at one point during the movie, she actually sat on my lap, and I'm like, no problem. The movie's going to end well. The good guys always win in these movies. So, don't focus too much on the bad people. They're going to fall to the wayside. And so she ended up enjoying it in the end. She said it was a good movie. So we did that. And yesterday, of course, I made my little drive out to East End. That's like a Sunday thing for a lot of Caymanians. If you don't live in the district of East End, you like to drive out there and have a good time. So after the movies, we walked about a little bit. She wanted to get some gelato, which is like her favorite thing to do. And saw quite a few kids out at Camana Bay. I'm really, really surprised at how many parents drop their children off to Camana Bay and just leave them there. I mean, I saw a lot of parents just dropping off and leaving. I know that these are teenagers or preteens that are going to the movies, but do y'all know what they've been up to at Camana Bay? I'm just curious. Not all of them, obviously, but I cannot imagine just dropping off a 13-year-old and being like, I'll pick you up in a couple hours. Ooh, honey child. So much goes on. Were y'all not children at some point? I'm like, listen, you got to keep an eye on teenagers. I am very, very surprised that you guys are so liberal with your children. And we went to the movies with a friend, and he's like, oh, I guess these parents are just looking for a break on a Saturday. And I said, yeah, maybe so, but an unsupervised break around other teens? Oh my gosh, that gives me the bejeebers. Like I can't even, I feel helicopter parent coming out of me right now when I hear about these types of decisions. I'm like, no, like you got to coordinate. Like 1 week, one parent goes with the kids, another week, another parent goes with the kids. Like you got to figure out how to do it. I get it. Especially those of you coming from a single family household, single parent household, I should say. Sometimes you just like, go away, kids, but no, honey child. And kids have been doing a lot at Camana Bay. They've been engaging in fights and other things. And I'm fearful because, there's an observation tower. There are things where people can get hurt, and irresponsible children who are not thinking, who push each other. I'm fearful that one of these days it's not going to be a good situation. And I tell you what, the day that happens, Camana Bay is going to lock down that facility to put up a sign, no unaccompanied minor. So I think y'all need to think ahead and, preempt something like that happening. Coordinate with other parents. It can't be that difficult. I take 1 week, you take the next week, and go with your kids. So I saw a lot of kids there, and I must say they were pretty respectful to me. I saw a few that were like, oh, Auntie, I'm so-and-so's son. And I was like, oh, okay. Ooh, I'm the worst with the family connections, Giles. I'm like, you are? Any little kid could walk up to me and claim that I'm his aunt. I'd be like, okay, come in for a hug, honey chill. Because I don't even know. So, yep, I saw a few of them there. You guys might have seen, I took a picture with a young man. He was very, very pleasant and really, really nice. And there was also a fundraising event, which I didn't know anything about. And apparently there was the Children's Barbecue, which I also knew nothing about this weekend. But the fundraising was the cycling, I forget what it's called, but it's like a cyclathon or something. And I heard that they raised over $100,000 for the Special Olympics. I was like, what? That's fantastic. That's really, really good money. So that was happening at the Dart complex as well, because when we, after we came out of the movies, we were going for gelato, we saw all these people there. And I was like, wow, what's going on here today? Obviously an event that I missed. And so, yeah, so that was really a fantastic charity. They were just finishing up as we were coming out there. You know, so many wonderful things to do at Cayman Bay. I hope you guys really appreciate the facility that's there. Everything from amazing restaurants. On Friday, we were there as well. And we were trying to decide where to go for dinner because you've got a couple options. So my daughter said, oh, let's go to Carnivore. Well, she couldn't remember the name of it at first, but she's like, let's go where I had that really good burger. And I said, oh yeah, Carnivore. So we went over there and they now have like a dinner service, a dinner menu, which they didn't have before. It was like, I think almost like the same as a lunch menu. So now they've expanded their dinner menu. And I got to tell y'all, I was tricked into eating a vegetarian dish. I had no intentions. I was like, listen, they have the best premium meats on island. You can purchase them for your own, you know, all sorts of amazing steaks and bacon and all sorts of stuff. You can purchase it for your own home, for your own grill. And so I saw something on the menu that said cauliflower steak. And I read it. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. And this must be like, you know, they're doing the sauce with the cauliflower dressing. And I said, okay, I'll order this. Well, guess what I ordered? I literally ordered cauliflower. And it was like flattened like a steak. And so I'm sitting there eating my cauliflower thinking, oh my God, I thought I ordered meat. Like, I'm not going to come to a steak and meat restaurant and order cauliflower. Although I must admit it was actually really good as cauliflower goes. Cauliflower is one of those things that I think anything you put on it, it takes on the taste of the seasoning. That's why it's great. Like you can do cauliflower rice, you can do cauliflower mac and cheese. Like it's really easy to take cauliflower and make it a pseudo other dish, right? So cauliflower mac and cheese, you don't even know that you're eating cauliflower. That's how good it's supposed to be. I've never tried it, but I've heard it's actually really good. So I was sitting there shaking my head like, I didn't have any intentions of eating cauliflower for a steak. I wanted a real meat steak, like, I don't know, some part of that little cow. So yeah, that didn't work out. And they had the broccoli that I had the broccolini, I think it was. Was it broccolini? But it was really good. I mean, everything was good. Just that I somehow misread that dish on the menu. So read very, very carefully because that was not real meat, honey chill. But yeah, no, it was a good experience. And I think sometimes you got to try something different. So there you go. Ordinarily, I would not be ordering a cauliflower steak, but I tried it once. Not to say I wouldn't eat it again, but now I know if I'm in the mood for steak, that clearly isn't really it. But when you're trying to eat healthy, hey, or you're vegetarian and you go out with friends and family and they're sitting there chewing on the steak and you still want to enjoy your meal, you can get yourself that cauliflower steak. Good morning, Miss Bonnie. Good morning, Marshall. Easy Pay C says, happy and wonderful Monday to you, Miss Sandy. I love a bouquet too, but the floral kind. Buenos dias to Miss Alba. Alejandro says the on-air sign is pretty bright. You know, it's always been there, Alejandro. Y'all are just noticing it today because the camera is a little bit different. But I noticed that my light and the sign are the same color. So I should change my sign to another color. It has one of those little remotes where you can change it to almost any color you want. Beautiful Miss Bonnie joining us from East End. Good morning to Aliano from Windsor Park. Miss Corrine joining us from West Bay. How are you? Miss Dean says, Sandy. Good morning to Sandy and the CMR community. Blissful Monday. I love it. Oh, Lord have mercy. Aliano says Cayman Bay, aka Hoodlums Hangout. Well, let's not call it that, Aliano, because it really is an amazing facility. So much to do there. You know, they've got coffee shop and ice cream parlors and the bookstore, and there's a lot, and people enjoy going there for functions and events, and they always do a really, really good job. But you know, they have made it as free to the public as possible, as accessible to the public as possible. And so y'all just need to make sure that you keep it that way in terms of don't mess up a good thing. I remember when Cayman Bay was being built, and by the way, they've just finished like 2 more buildings. They had the grand opening last week, Friday, I believe. No, Thursday. They had like a little soft grand opening for one of the buildings. I think that one is 60 Forum Lane. It's the one closest to like the main Dart building, kind of closer to the Festival Greens and the school over on that side. So that one's just opened. But I remember when it was being built, and Caymanians in particular were complaining about this facility and how y'all not gonna have access to it. Well, this is just gonna be for the rich people. That's what y'all were saying. And lo and behold, it's so accessible that y'all can just send your underage kids out there unsupervised. And it's available for everyone. I mean, I like going around, walking around in the stores. I was in the NKY store having a look at Nikki's collection of stuff. Oh, really, really, she has always beautiful stores. Nikki owns quite a few stores and a furniture store. I didn't know that the furniture store was her until recently. One of the furniture stores in there. But you know, they've got good stuff. And by the way, you can get some really good deals. Y'all gotta pay attention to when people are having sales on. Because even in Cayman Bay, you can get some amazing. I got an orchid arrangement from, oh Lord, can't remember the name of the furniture store now, but it's like really, really big, and it is solidly built. It's like so heavy that over the Easter weekend, I went to pick it up. I needed to get my brother-in-law to lift it up for me because it is top quality in terms of make, right? So they had this clearing out warehouse sale or whatever. And I saved like, oh my gosh, I feel like 80% on it. You guys are not going to believe what I paid for it versus what the original price tag was. So you can get good deals. You just got to hold out for sales and look out for these types of things. So now it's on my dining room table, honey chill. Looking good. Everybody walks like, oh, wow, are those real orchids? I'm like, nope, but they sure look real, don't they? Good morning, First Lady. Jayanne says good morning to you all. Happy Monday. Have a safe and blessed day. Looking very lovely, Sandy. Thank you. Thank you. She says that they're doing that long time, and some of those kids that are there out of order. Yes, I mean, we've heard of fights happening there already. One young man was injured. His mom was in contact with me because she had to get the police involved. And she thinks it might have just been a case of mistaken identity, which is the worst kind of thing. But listen, keep your kids in check anywhere that they go, but especially at a multi-use facility. You've got other kids there. You've got adults, younger kids, even the very dogs. It's the dog-friendly, development. Every single restaurant that you go to has, doggy bowls and stuff. I can't wait till we get our dog back because we're going to be right there with our little dog too, making her walk around. And, they've asked now that you not have the dogs on the, is there a sign about not having dogs in the grass? I feel like they've had to implement that because y'all were allowing the dogs to poop on the grass when babies are crawling around on the grass and everything else and people taking off their shoes. So, you can't have that. Now, you can't always control where a dog goes. Trust me, I know. But what you do is you have your little doggy bag and you pick it up quickly. And what I also find is whenever you take dogs out somewhere, pre-walk them elsewhere so they can do their business beforehand. It's not going to work 100% of the time, but you know what I mean. So KY345 says, yes, I was just about to say, wait until your daughter reaches teenage years. Oh, honey child, she's going to be in a very short leash. I do not believe in allowing children to roam too free. I'm not going to be as strict as my aunt because she was like, oh my God. She was like militant strict. It just wasn't good. However, I do think that you've got to have kids appreciate later on in life boundaries and limitations that will keep them out of harm's way. And there's a lot, I think, of free roaming that happens. So Marshall says Cayman Bay has been a babysitting place for a lot of Cayman kids for years now. Mm-mm-mm. What a mess. Miss Sue is feeling the white. Thank you, my darling. Good morning to Strong Will. Strong Will says you look so beautiful. What's the secret? It might be the new camera that I'm using, Strong Will. So I was just telling people that I've taken off, and you know what is so funny? Let me show y'all something. I was using my Sony camera. So I had this was my webcam. You can take a regular DSLR camera and use it as a webcam. So I was using this with a 16 millimeter lens. And so now I've taken this off because I want to actually use this for taking pictures. Like I want to be able to walk around with this camera. It's actually an amazing camera for photography. And so I'm using a webcam, but it's like a high-end webcam with 4K, with a 4K lens. So I wasn't quite sure how I was going to feel about it. So I'm going to try it out for the week and see how it comes on. But as you can see, with the 16 millimeter, there's like a setting on there that made my background more blurred. I haven't done anything in terms of blurring the background with this webcam, which I can, but I haven't. And so you guys are seeing a lot of the background now, which I think is kind of nice. My Cayman flags representing. So thank you, Strong Will. I'll keep that in consideration. Alejandro says, I'd not call it a babysitting place, more like a war zone. Oh, Alejandro, let's not go overboard now. My goodness, a war zone? No, but I do think, he says turf wars and stuff. I do think that, yes, there's some activity there. But you know what? It's always the minority of kids who are making you and making Cayman and the place and everything look bad. And these are just kids who, it's like the ones who went to Burger King a couple months ago and threw a firecracker in the place. Speaking of Burger King, big shout out to their sponsors this morning. Yeah, that's not cool. Let me put that up. There we go. Yeah. Now I got to do my squat so y'all can actually see me. So yeah, listen, kids who are who are just allowed to roam freely, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And so y'all have to be careful with your kids. And some of these kids, they just have a bicycle and they jump on a bike, like the Burger King situation. Those kids were from Windsor Park and they biked all the way from Windsor Park all the way. I'm like, listen, I had a bike when I was a kid. I had a little BMX bike and it was blue and white. And honey, child, I used to ride that so fast. But I had restrictions on where I could ride my bike. Number one, in the States, you can't be riding all over the place because you legit get kidnapped. Seriously. So my place that I could ride was around the block. And so I was allowed to kind of like ride around the block. Sometimes I'd go to the next block over and I'd just ride. It was so much fun to just get on my little BMX bike and just let loose. But I wasn't allowed to like just go to there was actually a park in the neighborhood. I couldn't just go over there by myself. I couldn't just walk all over the place. There was a family dog and I was responsible for feeding and walking. Prince was his name. And he was a little bit picky with, he was a little bit picky with certain things, but he was he's like a really strong dog. And so what I walked him, one time I actually broke my arm. I broke my wrist walking Prince. It's the only fracture, like a proper break that I've had in my entire life. Because he's the type of person. He was a type of dog that you couldn't listen. Strange people trying to talk to me, he'd be like, "Arr." I'd be like, "Come on, Prince, don't eat them. Like I can't handle this situation." But I felt safe walking him, which maybe in those days I probably shouldn't have felt all that safe. But I was allowed to walk him up the block and then back and whatever. And so one day he saw. I don't even know what it was that he saw. He saw something and he took off running and I got caught up in his leash, probably a cat or something, right? And so, of course, I fell on the sidewalk and I broke my wrist to the point where the bone was literally like sticking out of my wrist. I was like, oh my God. So, of course, that was an emergency situation. I kind of don't feel like I don't remember any pins or anything being put in my wrist. I think they just put it back in place. I had to wear a cast. But yeah, it was a pretty nasty break. And then the other crazy thing is on that same, because that was my left wrist, on that same finger, I have a scar on my thumb. You can still, it's not really all that visible, but it's still there if you know what you're looking for. And that was also from Prince. This dog was killing me. But him and I were sitting in the chair one day, and my uncle was watching WWE, which he often did on a Saturday. He was really into, like, he thought it was real. And I thought it was real for a minute too. I was like, oh yes, this is so interesting. And so one of the crazy people did a move, and my uncle jumped up and and the dog, he scared the dog. And the first thing the dog grabbed was my thumb and literally ripped the skin off of my thumb. And it was like bleeding all over the place. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. You know, when it goes down to the white, ooh, honey, child. I was in so much pain. So then I had to go to the doctor for that, get a tetanus shot and get it all bandaged up and whatever. I was like, Lord, but Prince was such a special dog. I miss him. He was a good dog. He's like a baby though. Like I had to hand feed him because when he was younger, he got in a car accident. And so to nurse him back to good health, they hand fed him, and honey, he got used to being hand fed. And so he only wanted to be hand fed, and he would not eat if you did not hand feed him. So, you know me, I'm like, this is part of my responsibility now, hand feeding a dog. You can imagine a little Caymanian child coming from Georgetown, and you talking about I must hand feed this damn dog. I was like, huh? I don't know about this. But over the years, I really grew so attached to Prince. And so, yes, we would play like little games with his food. Like I'd put it out in little pebbles because he mostly ate dried food. And then he would like pick up the little pebbles and whatever. But the good thing is, Siobhan says, it sounds like you had no luck with that dog. No, he was a good dog. And let me tell you, after a while, he became so protective of me that my aunt could not discipline me any longer because, she believed in spare the child, spoil the rod. So you was always getting a little whooping. And Prince was like, you ain't doing that. So she would have to secure Prince, or he would have bitten her when she comes with the switch or whatever it was she was going to use, the belt, she used all kind of stuff, trust me. And I would be like, so I would kind of scooch when I was in trouble. I'd kind of scooch over to Prince a little bit and be like, Prince, come here. Like just stand up next to me. Because then sometimes she couldn't move him because he was not going to be moved so easily. So yes, honey child, I learned how to work the system. I'm telling you, these little kids are smart. I learned how to work the system with Prince. He saved me a number of days from getting a beating because I'd be like, I'm not moving him. And you trying to put him away and he's not moving. So it is what it is. Poor Prince. May he rest in peace. Remelia says, thanks to the commissioner, those Windsor Park kids out of control. He had a beat officer, Tamara Jackson, in Windsor Park, who had those same kids engaged in basketball, and due to politics, she was removed. Well, I don't know. I think you need to be cautious, Ms. Remelia, on blaming that on the commissioner of police. At what point do the parents take responsibility? Why is it the police's job to engage your kids in basketball and other things to keep your children out of trouble? How about parents take responsibility for their own damn kids, since you're the one who had them, and raise them properly and don't make them a menace on society? Yes, these programs are good and they can keep children engaged. But is that really why we're funding the police millions of dollars to raise other people's children when the parents should be doing that job themselves? I understand your concerns about the beat officer or the community officer being moved. And I don't know exactly what the details are surrounding that situation. But don't you have another community officer? So she says it's part of community work. I get it. But that's not the community's job to raise people's children. And the more people think that way, the more we're going to have a problem. Parents need to step up to the plate and raise your own children. Right? I have a daughter. You don't think if, she's idle, that it's not my responsibility to find things for her to do? I can go out to the basketball court and sit down and watch her play or get a small group of kids together. Y'all parents and so-called community people need to do more to be self-sufficient. Stop expecting other people to do your job. Same thing with teachers. Sion says, yes, honey child, teachers too, in Sandy voice. Yes, y'all be like, oh, well, the teacher's it's not the teacher's job to raise your kids. They're there trying to teach your kids something and their hard knock brains, right? And if you teach children to be disrespectful and you don't raise them right in the household, there's no amount of community work that's probably going to help that much. Listen, get up and go put a basketball team back together. You guys are in that community. You can do it. Invite the kids out. It doesn't have to be the police that do it either. I'm sure a coach, I forget what his name is, the basketball coach will work with anybody in the community to get it done. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Sandra. How are you?
Not bad, dear. How are you?
Good. Listen, I'm completely off topic this morning.
Okay.
But I am frustrated with government. Reason being, it's 2 years that we have put in for return. Either we cancel a work permit, either we did an amendment and it did not go through for reimbursement and refunds. 2 full years. Government has not paid out a dime, and it's not 1 or 2. It's about 5 different permits. I don't know what's taking them so long to pay people out. Yet when you go there, you cannot be $1 short. I need them to give answers on this, because it's what is on their behalf that they be doing this to people. Anyways, thank you.
All right, my dear. Listen, people frustrated about their money. Where's France Manderson this morning? France, can we get an answer on why it's taking so long? You know what? Everything is taking an exorbitant amount of time at immigration or works or whatever they call themselves these days. And I think generally speaking, people do kind of want to know why. Work permits. I put in a work permit from December of last year. It was just approved last week. That's January, February, March, April. What month are we in? April? Like 4.5 months later? So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a legitimate frustration and it's a legitimate question. And when you're due money back, listen, don't mess with people's money. They want their money and they want their money. Alejandro says, tell you what, the only thing I see the police are good for is to prevent gang violence in that area. Are they doing a good job? I mean, how do you prevent gang violence? Again, this goes back to parenting. Like, I'm shocked that you guys don't want to do your job, but it's the police's responsibility. It's the, politicians' responsibility. It's everybody else's job. This person says that there's a basketball court in every single district. It's the easiest sport for kids to pick up, and all you need are sneakers and a ball. Another person on WhatsApp says, hi, Sandra, you're so right. Check this out. And they sent me a video. Rocky Mount High School, a teacher, substitute student. Okay, let me review the video because, child, I have to review everything now because y'all be sending me videos with profanity and all kind of stuff in it. We can't be having that on live radio. Next person says, amen, Sandra. Good morning. The viewer comments are blurry. They are? Well, that's weird. Are they blurry? Hold on, let me just have a quick look. If that's the case, I'll have to refresh. That doesn't have anything to do with the camera, by the way. The camera doesn't control, that doesn't go through that. So let me just have a look and see why that might be the case. And it's helpful when you send feedback if you tell me where you're watching it as well. This person says, good morning, Sandy. Can we continue talking about scammers? Oh, y'all like a scammer phone call. So we've got some questions coming in for the premiere, and he is in the back studio. So let's go ahead and bring him in because, of course, his time is extremely precious. I don't see, are the comments blurry? I'm trying to look and see. Maybe try refreshing your feed because I'm not really seeing it. What's the number to call in? Silverback Gorilla, 936-2626, 936 Bobo is the teléfono, número de teléfono. Call us. Let me see here. Alejandro says, I've been telling you why, Sandy, you want me to call and explain. Telling me, Alejandro, why about what? I don't know. Salvin says, why should parents step up to the plate to raise your children when government is taking away the disciplinary tools? Salvin, but that simply isn't true. Government has not taken away a single disciplinary tool in this jurisdiction. We are Caribbean people, and y'all believe in beating your kids, although I'm telling you that's not as effective as you think, but y'all still do it, and there's no legislation that prevents you from beating your children. What it prevents you from doing is abusing children, which has always been the case. You can't abuse children. So there was a father recently who was in court, and the details of what he did to that poor child in the name of discipline is ridiculous. So if you cross the line and you harm a child, you bruising children, you breaking skin and that sort of stuff, you will end up in jail, not in jail, but you will end up before the courts. They don't normally send you to jail for it. So you will end up before the courts with an assault charge. So no one has amended any legislation whatsoever, Salvin, to prevent you from doing that to your kids. But I would encourage you to find alternative means of disciplining your children. Because let me assure you that every single one of these children that we're talking about that are problem children, they're not kids who are getting love at home and hugs and positive reinforcement. They are children who are getting their behind whooped all the time. And I see it with my own eyes. Remember, folks, I'm a Caymanian that grew up in these Caymanian homes. I have seen children being beaten. I've seen little toddlers being yelled at and screamed at. And I got beat you, you know, and take out a shoe and hitting the children. I've seen it all, and it does not help. You're raising little tyrants who in the moment, because of the threat of violence, might adjust their behavior. But those are the same kids who then go to school, and when somebody tells them no, they can't have their way, or they don't like how somebody looks at them or whatever, the only solution they have in their arsenal of how do I deal with conflict is to beat somebody up, because that's what you've taught them in your home. That physical violence is the way you get people to do what you want them to do. But Salvin, I can assure you that no government has taken away your right to use corporal punishment, as it's called, in your own home on your children. So that's not the excuse. The real reason is we have lost the plot when it comes to just general discipline. We no longer have communities raising children. And some of y'all are focused on so many other things within your own lives that your children just fall to the wayside. Right now, we've got parents out there on drugs, on crack cocaine, I mean hard. And I see your kids in school and I wonder how on earth, like what's going on in that household, and how are those poor kids going to be functional? And you know, it's just crazy. So I think y'all need to stop blaming everybody else and take a good, cold, hard truth look in the mirror. Because the problem is 99% of the time parents. And it's not every parent, because some parents really try and they just got a bad seed headed child that needs professional help. But I find that in most cases, it's just bad parenting. And if we could start with accepting that, we could get so much farther ahead. We need more parenting classes, consistent parenting classes. I'm going to bring the premiere on, but over the weekend, I was just talking to a few people. I did an interview, which I'm going to share with you guys. Big shout out to some young Caymanians who are doing wonderful things in the world of music. And I was talking to one of the parents, and he was saying, you know, different things about his son and how every night they have devotion. They talk about different things. They're talking things through, and you know how kids are feeling. And he said that one thing he was always doing was subconsciously comparing his one child to another child. So he was like, oh, well, you know, Samantha, just by example, a boy and a girl, oh, Samantha wouldn't do that. And he's saying this to his kid. And so at one point, somebody in the family, I think it was the wife, said to him, you know, you should stop always comparing our son to our daughter. They're two different people, two different personalities, whatever, because you're probably making him feel away. And sure enough, when he spoke to the young man about it, the young man said that it was something that was hurting his feelings. And he felt, you know, that he wasn't loved in the same way, and he wasn't worthy, because here's Samantha, who's the perfect child, because every child's different. And you know, average kid, always getting compared to Samantha. And of course, in the child's mind, that's like, oh, does that mean that you love Samantha more than me? And I mean, kids, listen, kids are individuals. And so sometimes they need a very individual approach. Anyway, 936 Bobo's telephone number. I note your other concerns about refunds. Silverback says, I've been having the same problem at WORC. Cannot get my refund over 3 months now. I'm going to reach out to France Manderson and ask him, because I think he's probably the more appropriate person to ask this question. What on earth has taken so long with the refunds, and when can they be processed quicker? You would think that in this day and age where you can do online banking and you have all these options, it would be easy to give people their money back. So I'm going to work on that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and welcome the Honorable Premier to the program, Mr. Wayne Panton. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the Cohort.
Good morning. Good morning, Sandra. And let me say a wonderful good morning to all of the residents and citizens of the Cayman Islands, this wonderful paradise that we live in the Western Caribbean Sea. Really happy to be able to join you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So, Premier Panton, you are always a hit when you come on the program. People send me questions in advance of you coming on. So, of course, I do have a few that are already lined up. So let me just see here. And we'll come back to the conversation. Miss Sylvia, good morning. I see you're in the comment section. And a lot of other people sending about wonderful activities for kids. So don't worry, we'll continue that a bit later on. So one of the questions that we will just ask you off the bat. So last week on Friday, we had the new governor sworn in the afternoon. She arrived late Friday morning. And I know you've already had a few opportunities to interact with her. And then the Legislative Assembly is now back in session as well?
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday, okay.
Yeah.
But there were some appointments last week, including the new deputy speaker was chosen, as well as Mr. McKeeva Bush was appointed to the Public Accounts Committee. So one of the questions that I've received is if you can ask him why, this person says, he gave Mac the vacant seat for the Public Accounts Committee when he is going through a trial. So can you explain to us how that came about?
Well, just to back up, we've had some changes in government, as you know, and that created the opportunity because of the elevation of Parliamentary Secretary Seymour to the position of minister, that basically disqualified him from serving on PAC for government. So that created the opportunity to put someone else in. To be frank, I thought about it a bit, but the representation, the message that I had from the chair, not directly, indirectly, was that there was a particular person that he did not want on there. Obviously, having the leader of the opposition, and with his background, it's important to have him, I think, as chair of the Public Accounts Committee. That is by tradition as well, to have someone from the opposition chair. And I wanted to make sure that it was a position, an appointment that he was more comfortable with, let's put it that way, than less. So I supported the appointment of Mr. Bush. He remains, despite everything that has been going on, despite what has transpired, he remains an elected member for West Bay West. He's a member of Parliament, and it was, I thought, okay to put him on as a member of the Public Accounts Committee. He's not chairing it. He's just one of the members of the Public Accounts Committee. Now, as I said, he's a member of Parliament, and these are one of the committees that Parliament that does perform an important role, but he as a member of the backbench of government at this point, and remaining an elected member for West Bay West, is qualified to sit on that committee. So, there are those who will not agree with it, and there are those who are okay with it. I think this is the business of government has to continue. We have to, utilize people in various roles as we think are best appropriate in the circumstances. As long as Mr. Bush is an elected member, he's perfectly entitled to, despite everything else that may be going on in terms of his legal issues, he's still entitled to participate in Parliament as a member of Parliament.
Yes. And I think that, I had a discussion with a few people over the weekend, and you can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding as well is this is a little bit of a numbers game. You only have so many options.
It always is. You are presented with a certain set of realities, and you have to operate within those realities.
All right, folks. So hopefully that answers that question. We do have Alejandro wondering what's the update with the marijuana bill. Is there a marijuana bill that I'm not aware of?
Not at this point.
Okay.
But obviously, as people will remember, we've had the discussion around having a referendum on the decriminalization of small amounts of marijuana for personal use. We've had a Parliament resolution which authorizes the government to move forward with that. So that is still being contemplated. We don't have an actual bill relating to decriminalization at this point.
All right. We have another person listening to the program. They say, Sandy, many expats listen to your show. One thing is that applications for PR is taking a very long time, over a year, to get anywhere, if not longer. Why does it take so long? And I can sympathize with this person, because not just applications for PR, but my husband was going from RERC to his Cayman status, and they didn't even list it for over a year. Everything was in order. Nothing was missing. It didn't get listed for over a year. We also see in the complaint section this morning, we've had one caller already speak to the fact that it's taken an exorbitant amount of time to get refunds from immigration. Magdalene is asking about immigration reform. What's going on? Do we have a sense of what's going on over at WORC? Why the delays?
Right. So I've had meetings or conversations with Minister Seymour in relation to that, as well as his chief officer. I have indicated that we need to do a better job of both processing as well as these applications, whether they're work permits or whether they are for permanent residency or some other type of application. And indeed, to the extent that refunds are appropriate, we need to process those properly and reasonably quickly as well. It's not appropriate to sit back and not give people the funds or refunds that they're due. So this is something that the minister, I know, is working on, and we will be carrying this forward as a way to improve efficiency as quickly as possible. I have not been happy with the way things have been transpiring, with the speed and I think to some extent lack of efficiency in handling many of these applications. Obviously, we are concerned about several things. There are concerns around marriages of convenience. that is an issue which has sort of elevated itself since the previous administration changed the law so that anybody who got married to a Caymanian, any non-Caymanian who married a Caymanian, could very quickly apply for permanent residency. So there are concerns around that because we have clearly seen an elevated level of what have actually been demonstrated to be marriages of convenience. So there's concern around that, and we are trying to make sure that that isn't being abused.
Can I make one suggestion?
In general, we have got to improve the efficiency in dealing with these things. We also have, just very quickly, just to say, we also have the ongoing review of the point system, because there are obviously also concerns from people across this country that there are too many people that are getting PR in circumstances where it may be regarded as marginal. We also have this recent court decision, which is being reviewed in terms of whether this can be appealed. But this is the court decision in relation to the question of bringing in family rights, rights to family life within the consideration in terms of the grant of permanent residency. So the system that we have has been indicated by the courts the court system has been indicated to be something which is not compatible with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that is really in just one element, one respect, which is that the courts feel that there ought to be a mechanism in place in addition to the assessment of points, which can take into account any sort of additional evidence that an applicant might adduce, which supports an argument that their right to family life would be best served by being allowed to be a permanent resident. So this is something that we are working on at the moment, and we're factoring this into all of the different considerations in relation to the point system as well.
Right. Just a suggestion, like I said, I've kind of been through the process with my husband recently acquiring his status. And I must tell you that the associated fee to even get to that point is too cheap. I mean, it really cheapens the entire thing. I say increase it. Of course, I know a lot of Caymanians might not want to hear that, but I think that you make it a little bit too easy that, people are going to take advantage of the situation. Yeah. And on this program, we talk about marriages of convenience all the time. And as I always say, there's only so much that the government will be able to do. People need to understand how poorly it reflects on us as a country and how it impacts every single person when we allow people to take advantage of the system.
Yes, and that's absolutely right. And those are concerns that are shared by the people of this country across all walks of life. So,
all right, we do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning again, Sandy. Good morning, Mr. Premier.
Good morning there.
Sandra, I called for another topic since the Premier was on, but since on a hit marriage of convenience, I would put my 2 cents in.
Yes.
People that know me know that I'm Martin expat. My husband came here, he gave back to this community. Mm-hmm. But I went to his country for 2 years with my daughter. Mm-hmm. While I was there, he was here. I'd put in for his PR. The process that I went through, I won't say it was biased or racist in any way or form. I think it's a good system. We were married a whole year, and I decided to go into his country. I stayed there. What they gave me was an ID. It's basically like a permit. I had to hold that for 3 years. I had to renew that every year so that it expire. Also, they did something with me that I've never experienced. I did a fingerprint, a photo shoot, everything. My fingerprint, I had to go to the police station to get about it. The police station, the government service and the police station must be all tied in, right? They also went wrong to my neighbors and asked my neighbors if we were living together, how, if I was a friendly person, if I was involved with them and in the community, they ask for feedback.
Mm-hmm.
They then put me back to the second year. I went back into an interview and they asked me how my relationship was with my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and the family.
Mm-hmm.
They went to them, they interviewed them.
Mm-hmm.
The third year, right before I completed the third year, they sent my husband a letter telling my husband, okay, you guys have passed this. You guys have been living 3 years together. We know that you're outside the country. You come every 6 months. You're waiting to get your papers in her country. Your feedback from your neighbors were okay. Now we need your wife to come back in. We need you here to do another set of fingerprints
Mm-hmm.
and one more interview.
Hmm.
That interview then consisted of me and him and the child. At that time, my little girl was only 3 years old. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
there's ways that we can start the margin convenience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we know as well that somebody is not capable to maintaining themselves in this island, how is it that you're going to give someone a PR? You should know who's working from who's not working. There's a work system in place now, right? That just happened recently. A lady been here, 3 months, 4 months, and married somebody that is not even capable of maintaining himself.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's marriage convenience, right? The community is not going to come forward and help the government in no way, shape, or form because the government needs to do a clean sweep first. When the community give you feedback, email you anonymously, or go in and make a complaint or try to assist, the first thing happens by the time you're out of that door,
Mm-hmm.
whatever information you put in there is already out the door because the team staff is sending it out. And it's not the little small people that doing it. It's a lot of those big offices that are doing that. Okay. I've seen WhatsApp messages that people inside the work had sent to outside friends. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, and there needs to be a confidentiality policy in place. And if they break it, they need to be let go. Sorry to say it's hard times, but it's the fact. For any other company to abide and follow the rules of this island, government has to start with a clean sweep.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
Thank
The
you.
second thing is
Mm-hmm. We got
the
another caller
second thing
coming
is
in. So
work permits. We all know as a young business Cayman, thriving, right? Not striving, but thriving. We all know that this English test that they have in place, yes, it's an English speaking country. We know that our island. But this test that they have in place is not benefiting the small Cayman that is trying to survive because it's not basic and they know it. I know high officials again that have sat that test and have said to me, yes, it's not basic, it's intermediate level. I have an email as proof that came up from an office that they know. So every time you have to send your employee to sit that 3, 4, 5 times, that's big money, $125.
by the way,
I know the system was broken, but you
yes.
cannot do this to a small business person.
Caller, can I ask you something about the English language test? Because one of the other complaints that I have received recently is why are we allowing people to take the test multiple times? Some people are taking the test 10
Because
times.
It's a money
and
making
finally,
thing for the person that is in charge of it. And
well,
they know
that's a private company.
That's that Mr. Collins inside. They have said it to me. Yes, it's a little difficult. Okay, you know it's difficult. You can't do nothing about it, but you can put pointers down. You can put notes down. You know, sometimes I go in there with some of my employees to do like the English course because he offers the English course, which you cannot learn a lot. Sometimes I be confused with half of the damn questions they're asking on the test or the prep test.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, what in the world are they asking?
Well, I think one thing that immigration, WRC or government can do is put the limit on how many times you can take it. I don't think you should be able to exhaust and take a test 20 times and finally pass it.
That try to take it, but at the end of the day, it's not a basic test. It's an intermediate level test. Me, that went to school here, okay, private and public, I can tell you this. There's a lot that you get confused on that test, and I just said to you, you have officials that have sat that test and have emailed me back and say yes, because I've complained so much. It is an intermediate. I said, why are you punishing the small Cayman business owner? Why? Once a person come here, know their address, know how to communicate with their customers, know how to get by. I think that's fair enough. A lot of people are not coming to Cayman to stay or get PR. People are just coming here to survive, and we have to realize as Caymanian, a lot of young Caymanians does not want the construction job, does not want janitorial job, does not want hospitality job. in those positions, I think there should be more lenient with the English test.
I mean, I don't know.
What time I need to sit down and think about administration job, marketing job, accounts job. That you should give to a Kimanian, because you know that's what your Kimanian want, a 9 to 5 that the kids sit down to AC. They do not want to be on construction site.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll find that most Caymanians
for 7 months and not one, you hear me? Not one resume has come in. All right? Because Caymanians don't want those jobs. It's hard to say, but it's the truth.
Okay. So all right. Caller, people are asking for you to wrap it up. We've got other callers on the line. Yeah. This person says we need the premier to talk. Premier Panton, obviously some competing interests. Here I've heard a lot of people say we need the English test to be more stringent. There's too many people here who can't speak English. Obviously, this caller is saying it's too hard. I don't know if you've received any feedback on it.
That's the first sort of level of representation I've had in quite some time. I mean, you tend to hear it on both sides when you do get it. Obviously, there are people who complain that there are employees in the country who don't speak English well, and it makes it difficult to communicate. It makes customer service difficult. There are frustrations. Depending on the kinds of jobs and roles they have, communication is really important, from whether it's customer service or safety. So this is always a challenge for work or immigration to try to balance those competing interests. I note the comment about it being an intermediate sort of level test, and I will sort of make some inquiries to the minister in relation to that, and maybe speak to the chief officer. But it's always a question of just trying to get the balance right. And I think, people can apply to redo a test. I mean, what is wrong with anybody learning the language and learning how to, particularly for someone where this is not their primary language. I think it's important for them to have the opportunity to, you don't want them working, obviously, and trying to learn the language, but it's important for people to be given an opportunity to learn the language and to qualify for a work permit by passing the test.
All right, we do have a call in the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Yes, hello. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Premier Panton, and good morning, Sandra. I'd have been a quick shout out, and I want to talk about the permit situation and with the rollover policy, especially, because I think we need to pull the rollover policy back, take it from the 9 years and put it to like 5 or 6 years, And my reason for stating that is the permit system is basically to get some kind of cheap labor here that we could kind of balance with the money, whatever it is, right? The expenditure. So we bring in this cheap labor, but we give them 9 years, so they automatically qualify to get residency here then. So they could always apply for residency after, because that's a couple points to their name, because the 9 years they're here. But at the same time, a lot of these we still have to take care of after. I pass by the NAU and I see a lot of them out there that we have given residency that they can't basically afford to live here. So it's on the government or the government, because they keep on changing. But yeah, I think we need to pull that back now, because as we see here, we are populating the place with criminals, basically. Put it that way. A lot of criminality is coming in the island, because they talk about Caymankind that changed a long time ago. From we have 140 something different influences as a nation. Caymankind is diminished. So all I'm saying is we need to pull that back just to see where we're going to, and try to put some kind of incentive for Caymanians to have kids, like back in the day when, like in my day when I was born, my mother didn't have to pay no hospital. There's no insurance for me until I was 18. I believe that was a good incentive for the Caymanian population to grow in the right way. But right now, when I look around, I don't know who we're growing it for, because I see all strange faces. It's not Caymanians, you know what I mean? And even the buildings don't represent.
Yeah.
there is no real living here. So it's like we need some kind of incentive for the Caymanians to have kids. It's an incentive for a family rights, whatever it is there. But for a Caymanian, there's no incentive, nothing at all, apart from a bill. And a big bill to have kids here.
All right, caller.
That's my take for today. Thank you very much.
So
have a great day, guys.
We've got two other callers on the line. Let's see if we can take them in the order that we receive them. So caller ending in 8527, you're up next. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Just a little question for the premier, or just a little comment, really. The last caller, not the last caller, but the lady caller had some excellent points on the English test, and I just want to piggyback on that. And just to elucidate the premier on an idea, I think when we have a group of people coming down, like tilers, for example, specialist marble tilers from Turkey, for example, coming to work as a team, where the team leader has passed the English test and is actually proficient in the English language, I see no reason why work should not have the ability to exempt the other workers who are going to be part of that team, because they're going to be working with the team leader. If something happens on the job site, the team leader will be able to communicate effectively with 911 and whatever. If there's an accident on the job, call the police or call whatever, that team leader will be there at all times to effectively communicate in English with anybody. And those people who are working under him, who don't know the English language, should be able to work without having to pass the English test or to pass it proficiently, because the team leader will be there at all times. And I think that's something that should be worked into the ability of the work WORC administration, where they can exempt where they can exempt the people who come here to work in a team, TEAM, and at all times they can add something to the issuance of that permit to say at all times, and these people must be with the team leader, and that team leader then will be a known person, known to WORC, and that team leader would have passed the English test and would be proficient. I've had the occasion to help this lady who called earlier with her company, and I know that they're bringing a lot of people from Turkey, and they don't speak English, but they always have a team leader who speaks proficient English. And I think
I ask you, George, obviously I recognize your voice, but can I just ask you a quick question in relation to that, right? So outside of the work environment, obviously this person has to reside and live in the Cayman Islands.
Right.
Do you not see any problems with someone living here who can't speak English? I mean,
no, right. Well,
they
no,
have to go to the grocery store. They might have to engage in other business here, and a team leader, certainly their job can't be to follow them around 24/7.
Right. Okay. Just to answer that and also enlighten everybody, these people who I'm talking about, they can communicate basically in the English language. They do know how to get around. What also happens when people go into that testing room, as happens with every human being who sits a test, they get a bit of anxiety, and they don't perform as well as they're not as relaxed. Their brain and the whole body is not as relaxed as they normally are, and they freeze up. They freeze up sometimes, and words that they wouldn't typically know or understand. Their brain is not working as well as they should, because they're a bit afraid. They feel they're gonna fail the test. They feel like whatever. But these people I'm talking about, they do know how to go to a grocery store and order their food, because most of the time you don't have to talk to order your food. You order your food on site. You look at your vegetables. You want a banana. You want your different things, and you order that on site. But these people can speak basically English. But what I'm saying is that what's happening? We have now a bigger construction boom going on here, and we do have specialist projects funded by very wealthy people, and they want first class marble tilers to put down marble tiles on their walls, on their floor. And these people typically, don't want to big up any one nationality, but the people from Turkey and from that area, Egypt as well, they are known to practice what they produce, and they produce first-class marble, and then they make it into tiles, and they are very good at marble laying. You can't take a mason from Jamaica and say, I want you to lay marble today. It doesn't work that way. And when you bring down a team from Turkey to lay marble, I think work. And again, I want to qualify my comments. I have helped this company before, and I have done precisely that. I have identified and given the undertaking to my company that the team leader will be present at all times. And I do know that on that occasion, the permits were issued for that specific project, for that specific period. The project last for.
You sound like you're talking about applications for basically temporary permits for a team of people to come in to do this sort of installation.
Yeah, I think we've lost him, and I may have accidentally hung up on the last caller as well. My apologies. So just a reminder, folks, that obviously the Premier wants to hear as many viewpoints and questions as possible. So if we could get to the point and keep it brief. So it didn't sound like they were temporary permits. I don't know how long these tilers come in for. I guess they're in regular permits.
I mean, if it's not temporary permits, then obviously it is more of an issue. And as I think you were alluding to, it's not just good enough to have one individual who can speak the native language of 20 other people. They can't be with them and sort of run their lives for them. And our position as a policy is that we want to have people who are proficient enough in English to be able to function and operate within our society in a safe, communicative way.
All right. So we do have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Honorable Premier.
Good morning, sir. Hope you're well.
I heard a caller before say that Caymanian don't want to do certain kind of jobs. Well, that is not the problem. The problem is about the minimum wage. If you step up the minimum wage, Cayman will go out there, go do any job. When the Caymanian work here, if I work $200 per week, that cannot help him, Mr. Premier. But when the man and the permit come in now and him can survive in a like a $50 room month or so, him can send home him money to him family and him live a mediocre life here and him family live good where him come from. Plus the Caymanian have him bills here and probably have him children here. He have things, so it's not going to help him. If you step up the minimum wage, Caymanian will go out there, go work.
Yeah.
Guarantee you that.
Can I ask you a question, caller? What percentage of the Caymanian population do you think is impacted by the minimum wage?
Oh God, man. I would say about 60%.
Where do you get that from?
No, that's estimated. That's my estimated. I cannot give you no definite figures on that. I don't have an idea about what percentage are affected.
Because I don't think that's Caymanians. I think maybe foreign workers are more likely to be impacted by the minimum wage. But, in this program, I say it a lot that people, we need numbers. This is why the ESO does all of these surveys, why they do every 4 years, I think it is, they undertake a big island-wide census so that we can get this information. Oh gosh, my apologies. Looks like my phone has just died, folks. Might have needed to charge it. But, Premier Panton, correct me if I'm wrong here, but how can you make effective policies without having any data to go off of? So, if it's only something that impacts 10% of Caymanians, do we have any numbers? Do you know what percentage of Caymanians are actually impacted by the minimum wage?
I don't know offhand, but it is, I can tell you that the original rationale behind getting the minimum wage in place 6 or 7 years ago now, 7 years ago, I think it is, was because of a reality at the time, for sure, that there were people who were being paid well below even the $6 an hour. I mean, I had Caymanians coming to me and telling me at that time that they were being paid effectively $2 and $2.50 an hour for their labor in construction. And it was obviously terrible. I mean, clearly at the time, we were in the tail end of the period that we were impacted significantly by the global financial crisis that began in 2007, 2008. And it was still impacting us even into 2011, 2012. But that that has obviously changed. But the fact that we've had the minimum wage at $6 an hour for this long does have an impact in terms of compressing wages. Now, I do think that the minimum wage, the real minimum wage in Cayman, is quite a bit higher than $6 an hour now. We've had a committee set up that has been carrying on its work. To be frank, I wanted the work of that committee completed last year, and it was obviously under the control of a former colleague. But we expect that we'll have the response in relation to that sometime in the next month or two. I'm going to hold them to that and try to push forward there. But I don't think that there's any huge number of Caymanians that are impacted by it. But I think there is a reality that it does create a bit of a compression in terms of wages, and we need to, even if it's 15% or 10% of Caymanians that are impacted, it's a worthwhile exercise, because the equivalent of just over $1,000 a month is obviously not something that you can live on in most places, much less Cayman.
All right. So lots of questions and comments coming in. My apologies, folks. Looks like I did not charge the regular phone. So that one is on the charger, but you can still call 324-1612. But on that one, please call via WhatsApp. And we've got a caller now on that line. So good morning to Miss Darlene.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Morning, my dear.
Premier. I have 2 cents on this language or English, whatever we call. Yes, there's over 140 different nationalities. Yes, and a lot of them is primarily workers here. But for what I see, I think it needs to either scrap it or go another way. Because for example, I went to a restaurant. First of all, I called and they made the order, went to pick up. The person said, because I speak Spanish, but I refuse to speak Spanish unless I have to. And the person said, oh, they didn't get the order. I said, so where's the order? They said, oh, we didn't get it. I said, how you didn't get it? The girl then said, oh, you know why? She answered the phone, but she doesn't speak English. Okay. And this is happening to a lot of the restaurants, even the fast food. They're to the counter and they got to call someone. So where is that? Okay, I understand if you're domestic and you're dealing with children or whatever, that's a different case. But remember, I'm ordering food. You still don't know. The orders are not right. Then they get frustrated because they say they don't understand. So where is work in all of this?
And to be honest, Miss Darlene, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Even someone taking care of children, they're basic instructions that could save your child's life in the case of an emergency that you would want.
That's what I mean. Those are the people that should know how to speak English.
Yes. I mean, I think everybody should in English-speaking country, but.
Well, that's almost impossible because Indians, God forbid, Indians, you out there and they're just there. They don't know what you're saying. That's another language. And the irony in this is we know that countries like Africa, Ghana, those countries, those are people that first language is English. So when you got them people coming in and they're throwing them a test, of course they pass because their English is better than our English because that's their first language in a lot of those countries. But those are the people too that they sit down wasting time to give a test when these are people that study everything, read, write, and everything on English. So they need to fix that problem because it's frustrating. that we have to go through that in an English-speaking country.
Thank you, my dear. Appreciate it. So Miss Olive says, I see some more people calling than WhatsApp. So just remember now, with WhatsApp calling, I can only take one call at a time. There's no three-way calling on WhatsApp. But go ahead and feel free. Miss Gwen, I saw you calling and a few others. Miss Olive says here, true, every time I go to the food store, my blood pressure goes up. Oh my gosh. Aliano says, oh boy, the minimum wage. My inner anti-capitalist is tweaking. Was it tweaking or twerking? Tweaking? Live says the minimum wage for workers aged 23 and over will raise from $9.50 to $10.42 an hour this month in the UK. So that's pounds.
Yeah, I mean, just in relation to that, and I think what one of the commenters there is alluding to is the potential for an increase in minimum wage to be inflationary, and the current environment where we have these geopolitical instabilities creating inflation, commodity inflation. That's the sort of last thing that we really want to be adding much to. But I think there is a lot to be said for making sure that your minimum wage, your statutory minimum wage, actually is close or aligned with the real minimum wage that people are actually being paid, so that you can provide support at that point. And that when it's at that level, it's not inflationary, because people are already effectively being paid at that. And you're really just helping those people that may be coming into the market, the labor market, from being taken advantage of effectively. So the talk about minimum wage and sort of reviewing that and resetting that, we're very just want to be clear that we're very conscious of the potential for that to be inflationary if you set it above, what is the real minimum wage in the marketplace at the moment.
All right. Do you have another caller calling via WhatsApp? I love that you guys are quick on it. Folks, you got to always be willing to be pliable and change. So if you're trying to get to the show to call in this morning, it's 324-1612 via WhatsApp. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Is the premier still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Miss Charlene?
A message at your office, I think. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you for a second there. Let's try that again.
Okay, Mr. Premier, I left a message by your office, I think more than a week ago, asking you to please call me. In fact, it would have been the Tuesday after Easter Monday.
Okay. I apologize. I didn't receive that message, but I will.
If you're not interested in what I want to say to you, you can say not today, Charlene. You can do that.
Yeah, today I can't do it, but
yes.
I will give you a call later in the week.
Because I covers her a lot, so I'm sure she knows it off the top of her head.
All right, my dear.
Miss Sandra, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, honey, no problem.
Have a nice show.
You too.
Have a great day.
All right, so just a second, Premier Panton. Whenever the WhatsApp calls come in, we can't hear our guests, so I'll let you go ahead and respond to her now.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was just saying I hadn't received her message. I apologize for that, but I made a note to give her a call.
All right, folks, don't forget it has to be a WhatsApp call, so do give us a call if you're trying to call in. So yes, it's charging. Somebody just said the 936 number is off. I'm aware that phone is charging, so we got to give it a little bit of a charge.
Sandra, as you know, I don't have a lot of time this morning, and I'm going to have to head off fairly soon. So I mean, a couple of things I wanted to comment on was obviously starting with the fact that we now have our new governor, Governor Jane Owen, on board. She was sworn in on Friday, and she will be going around the various districts, various centers of society, and introducing herself. I think it's on Saturday we're going to do the Sister Islands, but because of Parliament because of the trips to the UK in connection with the King's coronation, and then also the annual Joint Ministerial Council meeting, which is usually in November, but this year it's happening obviously in May. It will happen again in November to get it back on track. But we'll be off island for probably 10 to 12 days. So she's going to try to get out to as much of the community as she can for the time being. And then once we return from the UK, that effort will resume. But she will definitely be getting out to see people. Obviously, we started with a reception at Pedro Castle for her on Saturday night, which went very well. She is a very lovely lady, and I have every confidence that she will be an excellent governor, and she will absolutely fall in love with the Cayman Islands and do her absolute utmost to serve the best interests of the Cayman Islands, obviously within the constitutional and constructs of her appointment as the King's representative.
All right, caller, welcome to the program. Question or comment?
My quick question is, would the Premier be able to give us a little update on the low-income land initiative that he was speaking on earlier this year in his other Premier Access and bringing back the DG have?
Okay, thank you, caller. Appreciate it.
So yeah, in relation to that, that project is ongoing. I will have to get an update as to exactly where it is, but sorry, not where it is located, but where we are with finalizing that to be able to roll that out. But this is land in a subdivision in East End. Effectively, we will be providing a unique opportunity to young Caymanians to be able to get on the property ladder, and this will be subsidized effectively by government. It'll be sold effectively at cost. So it's a very good program. It's one of a raft of initiatives that we will be rolling out to really help our people get on the property ownership ladder, the home ownership ladder. GG Ham is a project that I was just recently getting an update on. That we are looking to try to move that forward. Again, I don't know why, but it's sort of the program for it expired in 2012, as I understand it. I don't know why it wasn't reinstated. But we are looking to reinstate that again. This is as a part of one of the part of the raft of initiatives that we'll be moving forward with to help support Caymanians and being able to get onto the property ladder.
And one final question. A few people, Mark says, and a few people are speaking on the same thing. It's pointless to increase minimum wage because insurance rates are going to go up the day before. Other people saying that an increase, I think Ms. Moya also made a similar comment, that minimum wages go up, then the cost of living goes sky higher. If they can cut the cost of living, then people can live on their wages. Just saying, the cost of living is killing the people. So what considerations, I mean, I've even thought about this as a small business owner. If I actually had staff in Cayman that I was paying, and say I was paying them a minimum wage, and I had to increase that, obviously I need to find money from somewhere else to offset that. What consideration is being given to the knock-on effect of increasing the minimum wage on everything else? Pension payments would increase, insurance payments would increase.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier about trying to get the balance right. This is the current environment where we've just come off or are coming off the tail end of a period of higher inflation over the course of last year. And I think we averaged probably about just over 9% increase in the consumer price index. My sense right now that it is continuing to trend down, but there's still significant inflationary impacts on us. And what you don't want to be doing is creating anything which is going to have an inflationary impact and adding to the problem. It is always going to be difficult in Cayman for us to, to control the cost of living to a significant extent. We provide assistance where we can. That's why last year we initially started off with the electricity support program, which helped 22,000 households. And that was initially going to run July, August, September, which are usually the highest consumption months for the utility bills. And we ended up extending that all the way through to the end of December. So we did the entire second half of last year supporting our Caymanians with their utility bills. And as I said, it covered up to 22,000 households. So these are the kinds of things that we are trying to do. One of the really important things is, it's one thing to get people in their homes, support them getting on the property ladder. It's quite another thing to assist them with their ability to afford the operating cost, whether that's the mortgage, whether that's utility bills. So some of the things that we're really focused on and going forward is on home energy efficiency audits, assisting people with being able to put in place and encouraging really both smaller homes, but also much more efficient homes, because you believe me, it makes a big difference to people to have an electricity bill that is 50% of what somebody else next door might have, because they have less efficiency, because they have they opted not to put an efficient air conditioning system or sufficient thermal value on their windows or insulation in their ceilings, this type of thing. It really makes a significant difference. I mean, it's $250 to $300 a month can be a big difference and a big help to families. And so we're focused on trying to implement initiatives to help people along those lines to demonstrate the value of doing this and to help them be able to get this in place, to be able to afford it. That's why we removed the import duty in the last 12 months over a lot of these types of materials, construction materials that relate to thermal efficiencies and improve our people's ability to lower the cost of their home ownership and the operation of the home, and maintaining a general sort of comfortable environment for themselves.
All right, so we do have a caller that I'm going to ring back. Quick question from Stuart Bostock. Stuart says, when government awards contracts based on cheapest bidder, how will the government/premier correct the system of award when the minimum wage is raised? So it's an interesting question, because even he's saying that even when government bids on whether it's security contracts or anything else, if the criteria is the cheapest bidder, then,
Well, I don't. I mean, it's not correct. With respect, that it goes necessarily to the cheapest bidder. When they review, obviously politicians don't do that. That's done by the senior ministry or the procurement staff, procurement committee. They review these in accordance with a number of qualifications or qualifying requirements. Nowhere in there would I think it say that it has to be the cheapest bidder. Clearly, there is a value for money proposition, but you also, as a part of that, you need to make sure that the money you are spending is delivering what you want when you need it, because you can go with the cheapest bid and it may fail completely because they can't deliver it, or the workmanship is really bad. And it undermines the rationale for doing the project.
Okay. All right. We have a caller who was trying to call in. So with the WhatsApp calling, sometimes it impacts the audio for the premier. So I was just allowing him to finish speaking. Good morning,
Hello,
caller.
good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Andrew. Good morning to Mr.
Good
Reverend
morning there.
Mr. Panton.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you have a lot of matters out there to deal with, but I'm asking you if you would please give me a call. It's regarding, I spoke to Sandra a few days ago regarding it, getting in contact with me regarding my son. It's kind of urgent. It's been over 2 years now pending. We try and get something sorted out. And I can give my number with air, or I can
I'll send
Sandra
it to the
give it to you.
premier again. I did send it initially, but I think he's
Is
been
that
busy with
Alejandro?
his yes and other stuff. But I'll send it to him again.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're most
Bye.
welcome, my dear. All right, so I'll send you her number again.
Is that her
Amelia?
son's name that begins with A?
No. Hold on.
No? Okay, well, you can tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, I don't like people to say their numbers over the line. You might get all kind of weird.
Right. That's why I'm not using a full name,
Yeah. The other day I accidentally called a guy. I was trying to call a girlfriend, and the conversation went left real quick, and I had to chuckle and wonder if he even knew who he was talking to, because he might end up as jackass of the day in CMR. Amelia is asking about why dairy products that are duty free are so expensive in the stores. Can you speak to this?
Well, I mean, a lot of it, I imagine, is going to be down to the cost of shipping. We don't have the same economies of scale for Cayman. I think that the price of milk is always something that people compare. Us versus Florida, but we just don't have the same economies of scale. I think that the supermarkets generally, obviously, as you go away from the bigger supermarkets into the smaller stores, you tend to have higher pricing, and that's reflective of convenience, and that's reflective of sort of higher costs for the smaller stores. But it is going to be what it is, unfortunately, for us here in Cayman. And I think our experience is not much different from many other places in the Caribbean that are similarly isolated, and we have to ship it in by ship and on containers that are refrigerated and all this sort of stuff. So these things are going to add to our costs, unfortunately.
And sometimes, Mr. William, we try to sort of educate people here in the program, but sometimes there's a specific reason why, like lettuce over the summer had gone up, oxtails have gone up. There are specific reasons why certain foods are increasing, even orange juice, because crops in California were disrupted. There was a crop disease and other things. So you've got to pay attention to these things because they impact, us, because we import the vast majority of our food. So Ms. Bonita is asking, and this is, she's asking specifically about bus wardens, Premier, but perhaps you could speak to this in more general terms. So there are people who get government contracts. I've had complaints for quite some time about the bus wardens, for example. Even contractors, there's the Robson Construction Company who was doing the project there in the middle of town. They get these government contracts, and then they're not treating their staff well. They're not paying their staff. They're not compliant with the pension laws, immigration laws, and so on. Is there any consideration to ensuring that before someone is awarded, maybe this again is something for the public account, what's the bidding procurement committee to consider, but is there anything that can be done about people getting government contracts and then they themselves, as the business or employer, not being compliant with the law?
Well, I mean, I think that obviously there's an attempt to, whenever bids are received and in the pre-qualifying process and stuff, there's an attempt to make sure that a business is legitimate, it's in good standing, it has a good reputation, and it has a good track record. But with the best will in the world, there are times when these things sort of arise. We have mechanisms that provide a remedy for situations where pensions aren't being paid or health insurance isn't being paid, or wages aren't being paid appropriately or at all, we have a remedy for each of those scenarios where people can go and report it, and they can have action taken. But yes, I mean, whenever government is engaging with the private sector and seeking to procure services, they do, or we do, and government does try to ensure that they're reputable and they have a positive track record of complying fully with their various obligations in the work environment.
Mm-hmm. All right, someone is asking, please ask if additional funds will be granted to CIDB for Cayman and housing support. CIDB is offering a 3.75 fixed rate for 2 years, but they've run out of funds due to high demand.
CIDB will be getting some additional funding, but at the moment, there have been discussions with the Caribbean Development Bank to see whether and to what extent they would be able to provide funding in collaboration with the Cayman Islands Development Bank. We haven't heard back from them yet, as far as I'm aware. So we're waiting to see how that turns out. Government would love to be able to do a lot more to help people, but we have certain constraints as well. There's only so much that government can do at any one particular point in time.
All right, another caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hi,
Sandra,
good morning.
it's Melanie.
Hey, Melanie.
Morning.
Good morning.
Am I calling on the right line?
Well, this is our backup line, so we can hear you perfectly fine. So,
okay,
question
great.
or comment for the Premier?
Good morning to the Premier. Good morning to Sandra. Thank you
morning.
for taking the call. So we had Earth Day on Saturday, and first of all, I wanted to thank the community engagement and all the participants that worked so hard to tidy up the island. It was a really great effort. I'm calling in a personal capacity here for my own. I live in the district of Georgetown East, and I really would like to raise the concerns of enforcement and essentially the lack of funding and staffing for environmental wardens. Cleanups by volunteers are absolutely fantastic, but regular littering offences, poaching and land clearing is having a serious effect on the overall good of what's being done by the community. We've got beautification task force in quite a lot of the districts in West Bay. But when we see our own government departments chopping down trees and doing clearing without any foresight of community discussion, it's really disparaging. We understand that you have to set, if you got to set by example at the end of the day. If you're wanting the community and you're wanting to engage people to not do things, then we also need to set an example. So I guess I'd really like to know what can be done to increase enforcement and fines, and if there is any way that we could perhaps have district volunteer wardens who will monitor the districts for these types of things. That's my question.
All right, thanks very much. Premier Panton?
Well, thank you to the caller. Yes, I want to congratulate as well all of the volunteers and community members who really came out to, as usual, celebrate Earth Day and to help keep our communities clean. Some of us have these things going on all year round. I have people that are constantly working to keep our roadsides in my community clean, and picking up trash in areas of high concentration and keeping the parks clean and this type of thing. And that is something that I think there are different constituencies that in which members have organized approaches with volunteers, in some cases with paid people doing that. We just have to continue to encourage people to be very mindful of the environment and not littering. We have certain members of Parliament that are are real bulldogs when it comes to concerns around these areas, concerns about making sure that Cayman remains beautiful. And it's in all of our interests, both for our own quality of life as well as our tourism product in Cayman. We do not want to be perceived as being an unclean and untidy place. And that certainly has an impact on our own quality of life and the way we see things and feel about it. Yes, we can encourage more people to organize volunteers who will assist with this. Now we have the Department of Environmental Health, which does bulk waste cleanups. This year we've actually moved. The bulk waste cleanup is usually towards the end of the year in November and December. This year we've actually moved it so that it occurs prior to, hopefully anyway, occurs prior to hurricane season. So that'll be going on over the next month. And this is the sort of approach that we're trying to take to make sure our communities are not just clean but also safe. If in the unfortunate event that we have an issue with a hurricane, we will have a safer, cleaner environment to be able to work within. Hello?
Oh, my apologies, Premier. No, I said George has sent through a voice note and he's asked me to play it, but I had to preview it to make sure it was clean for radio, and I can say it's clean. So let's just listen to this voice note that George Ebanks has sent through as well this morning.
Sorry to call.
Oh, sorry.
This morning when I called, I forgot to acknowledge that the Premier was present. That was my bad. Good morning, Honorable Premier, my neighbor. I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge you when I called earlier. But I do have one final question and a plea, really. It's in regards to the traffic problem that we're having here, and it's ever increasing. Why can't the government just have, I guess, what you call colloquially the cojones to do the right thing and really sit down once and for all and really have a serious discussion amongst cabinet, the elected cabinet, and put some policies in place in regards to stuff which at first may look a bit unpopular, but in the end it will serve us all well, which is to put a stop to the rapid importation of vehicles into this country, and perhaps even a temporary moratorium for 6 months on importation of vehicles, unless they're special ordered through the dealers. I guess in that case, then they can be allowed to come in. But these freelance buyers and sellers of vehicles, I think we need a moratorium for the time being, and I think we need some stiff measures really thought out as we discuss the public transportation coming online, probably a year or whatever down the line, 2 years down the line. But before that happens, we really need to stop this full-scale onslaught of vehicles at a few hundred vehicles a week coming into this country. It is getting unbearable. Georgetown is now becoming a place where you can't do business, because if you tell a customer that your office is in Georgetown, the first thing they say, well, there's no parking in town, so I'm not coming there. I now have to be traveling to West Bay, to East End, to see clients because they're not coming into town under no condition unless I can provide parking for them, which I cannot at this present time. Thank you for that. And again, sorry I didn't acknowledge you earlier. Love you a lot. God bless you, and God bless the government of the Cayman Islands.
Sandra, I can't hear you. I see your mouth.
Oh, my apologies. I'd muted myself. Yes, I was saying we're back in a sweet spot with George this week. So he sent us a voice note about traffic. So someone else mentioned regarding traffic to make the governor travel in morning traffic from the Eastern District, and maybe at that point we'll get the East-West arterial finished.
No, let me tell you. So let me start with his comment, and thanks to George for his follow-up note. Very much appreciated. We are about to implement certain restrictions on the import of vehicles or importation of vehicles. And that is the start of our initiatives in order to be able to better manage the traffic situation. Obviously, we're at the same time, we need to be moving in the direction of improving public transport. So we are going to be pursuing initiatives. I've had this discussion before, but we'll be pursuing initiatives to encourage, incentivize people to carpool. We'll be looking to implement, at least as a temporary or short-term measures, implement park and ride schemes, and encourage people to be able to utilize those. Listen, we are all in this together, and we are all a part of the traffic problem. We are a very car-centric society, and unfortunately, we just can't continue to build roads to fix that problem. We've got to work together, and the government is going to be working on the initiatives around public transport and significantly improving that. So this is the initiative is about to be implemented, which will address the importation of cars over a certain age, and that will address the situation with those cars that George in particular has been referring to, in terms of hundreds and hundreds of cars being imported every month that are sort of the lower value. Obviously, we're concerned about trying to make sure that people can afford to get around as well. It makes no sense to implement policies and initiatives which are going to prevent people from being able to get to their jobs or get to essential services or whatever it is they need to do. So this has to be several different initiatives that are coming on stream at the same time. So we'll be moving forward with that. In terms of the East-West, the issue with that is even if we started construction today, it would be some time before it starts to make any significant improvement. That is a reality that we have to reflect in these same initiatives that I've been talking about providing alternate ways of people reducing the amount of traffic and getting to work. Believe me, I look at the numbers quite often to see, if there are easy ways of addressing this. We have a motion coming up in Parliament, which is being brought by an opposition member, talking about private school busing. That could help, but obviously that is an issue that has always been resisted significantly. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy to mandate these types of things. So this is something that is worthy of consideration. The extent to which it can be implemented, I kind of doubt it. It's been tried for quite some time, but there are many other things that we can be doing and we will be doing. This is trying to suggest that we can just go ahead and build the East-West without doing the necessary and completing the necessary environmental impact is exactly what got us in a lot of the problems that we have today in this country, where we've done very little in the way of proper assessment and planning. And this is why we have to be disciplined about making sure we get this thing done and done properly. I have been advocating pushing this to get the EIA done. If you think about it, over the last 8 years, we could have done 6 or 7 EIAs for this Blinken Road, and it's unacceptable that it's taking this long to constantly try to push on this. We now have the terms of reference approved, and I want the NRA to get on with it and get the work done so that we can have this road properly designed and be able to implement it in the safest possible way, while mitigating the environmental impacts that may come with it. That's the way we have to do things in this country. We have to plan and we have to do it in the right way. Otherwise, we suffer the consequences down the road, pardon the pun, and we end up having sometimes to pay far more than if we had just taken the time to do it right to begin with.
All right, very good. So,
Sandra, I'm going to have to leave, unfortunately.
Yes. Thank you.
But I did want to say, that I know that there are a lot of our students who are preparing for their exams, whether they're SEs or CXEs, and some of them have different versions, the IB exams, I guess. So we have hundreds of students at John Gray, at Clifton Hunter, Lehman Scott High School in Nebraska, many of the private high schools that are all studying very hard to get great results on their exams. I want to encourage them. I want to encourage them to do their best, obviously to pace themselves, to not overly stress themselves, but, take the time to study well. And I wish them all the best in their performances in their exams. I also want to say that we have been conducting through my colleagues' ministry, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we've been conducting a national health survey. That is very important to us, to have a very good idea of what level of non-communicable diseases we have in the community. This is the kind of data that helps us design policies. And we talked about data earlier this morning in one of the conversations. It is critical to have good data to be able to design policies that help you achieve the best possible results with whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And clearly, health is one thing which not only helps the individual live a healthier, more productive, happier life, but it also means that the government ends up having lower costs in assisting people with their healthcare issues as well. And that is one of the areas of government that is, in terms of costs and expenses, that is really on an unsustainable path. So I think we have, in terms of this, the community meetings going on in relation to the National Health Survey, we have one on the 27th in West Bay at the John Cumber Primary School Hall. And then we have another one, which is May 4th. That's at the Mary Miller Hall for Georgetown. So I want to encourage people to come out and attend that, or attend those meetings, because it's really important for the overall health of our community. We also have Parliament, which is starting on Wednesday. We have the delivery of the strategic policy statement. We have a number of parliamentary questions and motions to deal with. The strategic policy statement is obviously the initial stages of the government budget setting for the next 2 years. So the budget will have to be in place by the end of this year for 24 and 25. And, I want people to sort of tune in and pay attention to that as well, because it reflects government's approach from a policy perspective. And it gives sort of broad outline numbers of what we are planning to be spending, and in general indications of what we're spending that on over the next 3 years. It's important to have a look at this, because it really gives us a clear idea of the level of sustainability that the country has in terms of its finances, and what the government is looking to be spending people's money on. Obviously, we know we've got a lot of issues that people are particularly concerned about. One is the traffic situation and public transport, and addressing that. We also have the issues around the cost of living, and housing is another particularly important issue for people in this country, clearly based on the comments and feedback that we've had. So I want to say thank you all very much, for those of you who have tuned in, and thank you, Sandra, for the opportunity as usual. I won't be able to, as you know, to come back on the show for probably close to 3 weeks. But I'll make up for it when I get back, and we can move forward from there. But I want to thank everyone. I want to wish everyone an absolutely fantastic week ahead. I wish health and wellness and safety for everyone. And please, as we go about our lives in our wonderful paradise in the Cayman Islands, please let's do whatever we can to help our fellow man, and help all of us have a successful country and maintain a successful country that we have today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very, very much. As always, it was a very, very engaging and as young people would say, popping show this morning. Lots of callers, lots of comments. We didn't get to them all, but the Premier has promised that in 3 weeks' time or a little bit more, he'll spend a little bit more time with us. So again, Premier Panton, thank you. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks. Oops.
God bless.
All right, thank you. I had pulled him out a little bit too quick on the finger there on the mouse. Folks, wonderful. Thank you to Premier Panton. Again, I had so many calls, so many messages. My apologies that we could not get to them all. But obviously, he's very popular. When he comes on here, you guys definitely want to speak to him. Stay tuned for a message from the ESO. Lots of wonderful things that they have going on. I want you guys to make sure that you're participating in these initiatives. You see why the data that they obtain is so critical to our lives and making the right policies that's going to really make changes that's beneficial to the majority of people here in the Cayman Islands.
The annual business surveys being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office, ESO, are ongoing. The surveys run from April 11th to June 16th, 2023, and collect information to answer questions like, how did the economy perform in 2022? What is the value of the income received from the rest of the world in 2022? Your response matters. Fill out and return your surveys to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4600 or 244-4676.
Get your taste buds ready because Taste of Cayman is back. Join us May 13th at Festival Green, Camana Bay. Eat, drink, and dance the night away. Taste of Cayman offers the very best of Cayman's food and drink scene with plenty of music to keep the party going. Get your festival tickets online today at tasteofcayman.org or call 623-6700. Brought to you by the Cayman Islands Tourism Association and sponsored by AI Rentals, Camana Bay, DMS Broadcasting, and numerous valued partners.
Ocean Ridge Heights offers an amazing opportunity to own a piece of land in idyllic Cayman Brac, right on the bluff, starting from $80,000. Located in a quiet residential area with high elevation, these lots are ideal for a future home or investment property and are sure to go fast. Cayman Brac offers a laid-back lifestyle, amazing pristine diving, limestone caves, diverse flora, along with amazing wildlife. Inquire about the owner financing options so that you can secure your piece of paradise today. With only a few lots remaining, these are sure to go before you know it. Contact Crichton Properties today on 345-949-5250 or info@crichtonproperties.com.
Recover Personal Injury Attorneys, helping injured people get what they deserve. Did you know that insurance companies have lawyers that represent their interests? Before signing and accepting any settlement, know your rights. Call us today for a free consultation at 924-9999. That's 924-9999. Recover. Your personal injury attorneys are on standby to assist.
Are you tired of overpaying for TV services? Can't figure out VPNs? Constantly missing your favorite TV shows? And no access to the good stuff on streaming services? The frustration is real, but it doesn't have to be. Contact Roque, Cayman's streaming pros. We'll put you back in the driver's seat in front of your TV. Call, WhatsApp, or message Roque today on 926-1213. Roque is not a TV service provider. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I think I've got about 25% charge in the phone, so I'm just reattaching it. So we can get additional calls now. 936-2626 is the phone number. My apologies. Last night before I went to bed, I intended to put it on charge because what happens all weekend is it's plugged into the board. And, sometimes you actually want these phones to die completely before recharging them. And then I forgot to recharge it last night. So that's my bad. I'll make sure the next time for sure that the premieres on the show is charged up because y'all need to be calling now. All right. So Honorable Premier Panton, again, we appreciate him taking the time to come on the program. I think this Samsung Galaxy is restarting. It's taking a minute, but it's restarting. All right, good folks. So listen, I've got a real treat for you this morning. So one of the things that I told you I was able to do over the weekend is I actually went and spoke to some young Caymanian entrepreneurs in the space of business. And I know that when you're not in the traditional field, like you don't want to be an accountant, you don't want to be a lawyer, you don't want to be a doctor, you don't want to be, an administrator or secretary, these kind of a banker, these run-of-the-mill jobs. If you want to do something a bit more on the artistic side, people always raise an eyebrow at you and say, what you doing, Willis? And you're like, I'm following my dream. I'm following my passion. Leave me alone. And there's something to be said for people who understand that there is a business side or a business element to even following your passion. There's a lot of opportunities out there for artists and more creative folks, for musicians. And, you don't have to be the front man in a band. You can still be the person doing the marketing for these groups. You can be the person who is, actually on the creative side, actually writing, doing the songwriting and the music compilation and all this sort of stuff. So we had an amazing opportunity over the weekend to sit down and speak to some young men who are doing just that. And they're not just doing it for themselves, but they're sharing their passion and knowledge with other young people who might be interested in learning a bit more about the industry. So sit back and listen to this interview. And I want to tell you guys that I'm patting myself a little bit on the back here this morning because my video editing skills are not really, I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm doing most of the time. But, I'm learning a little bit and I have a little bit of time on my hands to be able to play around with these things. So I put this one together. I didn't do the intro, so I'm not taking credit for something I didn't do. I outsourced what I know I can't do. That's smart. So I outsourced that bit. And then this phone wants to update everything. My goodness gracious me. Software update. We'll schedule that for later on. So yes, I had that bit done by a professional designer, and then I kind of put the rest together. Honey child, I was editing audio. I was putting transitions in. You feel good when you learn how to do. I'm not an expert, but you learn how to pick up little skills here and there that help you manage your workload. So here we go. Sit back, get your second cup of coffee, and listen to this amazing interview.
You hear you falling, now who's to blame? Wishing you'd only be more like them. Over and over, you cry yourself to sleep. And you're colder, much colder. If only you could see. Don't you know that you're beautiful? Just the way you are. Just the way you came. Don't you know that you're beautiful? Just the way we are. Just the way you are. Oh, just the way you are.
So we are here at Iron Shore Studios today. It's a beautiful, gorgeous day to be in this absolutely amazing studio. Our audience might remember a few months back, we were here to do the grand tour, and it still is amazing as it was then. And of course, lots of exciting things are going on here at Iron Shore Studios. We're talking today with Nathan McLean and Dean Ramoon. They're going to bring us up to speed on what's been happening over the last couple months. So Nathan, let's start with you. I think we were here around January for the grand opening event.
Yep.
And since then, I understand that you've been super busy. So tell me, what have you been doing in the studio, you and your partners? What's been going on?
The launch event, in the end of January. And since then, we've been really focused on making sure that we can provide the opportunities for everyone as much as possible, local artists, students to come and experience the facility. And we've also hosted some international artists who've come down and utilize the space. So it's been exciting, and it's, it's about networking and getting the awareness out there.
Absolutely. So in the event that someone may have missed our, sort of tour of the facility initially, give us a little bit of rundown on what you've got here, because, the equipment is amazing, state-of-the-art equipment. I think it's over 2,600 square feet, if I'm, not mistaken.
Yeah.
But it's a lot that's here. So just give us a little bit of a rundown on what people can expect at the studio.
Yeah, sure. So what you can expect is the highest quality of service and equipment and capabilities. The facility is 4,600 square feet with 2,000 plus square feet of just dedicated recording space. We have, a lounge area, we have a balcony access, a little meeting room, kitchen. It's quite extensive, and we're very proud to say that we have what is a world-class facility right here in Grand Cayman, and one of the most capable studios that you can find in this side of the hemisphere, for sure.
For sure. Absolutely. That's fantastic. So Dean, we're going to bring you in just a little bit here as well. So the two of you are going to be partnering with a music and networking event. Yeah. So give us some of the details on how this idea was born, and then we'll get into some of the details of exactly what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was started in 2019.
Okay.
Just shy of the pandemic. And the idea around music and network was exactly what the title is. It's music. We're bringing down a lot of music executives to the island that are top of their game right now, and we want you, the artist, the local artist, but not just only the individual that can sing, not just as a producer, but the people that have an interest for deeper into the music industry. So we wanted to be able to not waste your project, like whatever you're working on right now, whatever you're doing in the studio. A lot of artists are saying, is it just radio for me, and how do I get it heard around the world? So this is how this was birthed. And I spoke to Nate years ago about it, just before Iron Shore Studios was done. And we spoke recently, I think a few months ago, and he was happy to come on board from Iron Shore to be the presenting sponsor, to make it bigger. So it actually morphed into a bigger thing this year, and we're excited about that. We're going to be doing workshops on Thursdays with some of the high schools, where they're going to be taught by a Grammy-nominated songwriter.
Wow.
A state-of-the-art studio engineer is going to also be teaching them. He's worked with the likes of Beyonce, Jaden Smith, just to name a few, different rappers in the industry also. And then we have just a full list of different VPs from different record labels that are coming down. It's a lot to name. I'll name a few because I know Sandra's been talking about it also, but Rock Nation, SoundCloud, Atlantic Records. And they're just going to be teaching individuals, how do you get your songs into movies? How do you get signed to a record label? What other jobs are available besides being a singer? Because if I tried to sing, it wouldn't work out for me. But I still have a passion for music. Where do I fit in? So those are a lot of the questions that will be answered.
That's that is really dope. Because like any industry, and I'm sure the music industry is definitely no different, there is like a slew and plethora of jobs and positions and areas of interest that you can really get into. So you're saying that really the core of the workshop of this particular music and networking is really going to be to expose people to the industry and all of those components of it.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest thing, and I know Nate will agree with me with this, is the biggest thing that we want to do is to create opportunities to make Cayman a music hub. We've been saying that for a long time, but when do we get started?
Yes.
And I think now is the time.
Yeah.
And Barbados is doing that, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica next door to us, right? They're doing the same thing. We can do it also. There's no reason that we shouldn't have the likes of Rihanna, the next big Jay-Z that's coming here to actually record his album, but include local talent. Because for a lot of people, they don't know that a lot of these hit songs that you're hearing on the radio was written by somebody behind the scene. So how do we get locals involved with that? That's what our Sullivan Iron Shore is working on. And I'm glad that they partnered with us, along with some of the ministries also. Minister Andre has jumped on board, and Kenneth Bryan, the Honorable Minister for Tourism and Ports, he's also showed an interest in this and supported the event. But I really have to give props to Iron Shore, because it only took 5 minutes to convince Nate that he should be a part of this event. So we're really grateful for Iron Shore.
All right. So Nate, let's come back to you for a second then. I mean, when Dean approached you with this, what sold you in those 5 minutes? Why were you like, yes, we got to do this collaboration?
I think it was less than 5 minutes. It probably was more like 15 seconds. But
yeah.
I mean, I've heard about the first event back in 2019 because I have a lot of friends who were into music and they attended it and they spoke highly of the experience and what it kind of taught them. And honestly, the big part of what we're doing here at Iron Shore Group is exactly touching on what Dane said, is to create opportunities for Caymanians and local artists and local talent to explore music as a career and to realize that you don't have to fit into the little box that of accounting, finance, and lawyers and doctors that people tend to put people into, right? And like you said, there's huge opportunities in the music industry. There's not just a singer songwriter. There's engineering. There's it's crazy. There's songwriting, of course. There's distribution. There's the business side of things that you can get into. And for us, it was very important to be able to provide opportunities for young aspiring musicians to get that exposure and to actually learn from people who are experienced and have the credibility and make them realize like, hey, we can do this and we can do it right here in Cayman.
Absolutely. Now, Dane, you've been involved in the music scene for quite a minute now. I think I've lost count of the years, but your passion continues to just really remain steadfast. I think that is so incredibly important. But tell us a little bit about how you made the connections with these industry like movers and shakers. Like, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult at first because you were going on trips, and I was I always say it, to my friends now, I was the weird guy going on vacations and finding the record labels and trying to get in, and not realizing that it took more than just sitting by the lobby and waiting for somebody to come and see you, because most likely it's not going to happen. What I started to do, Sandra, was just like anytime there was a concert here on the island, I wouldn't aim to meet the artist. I would want to meet the person behind the scene, the person, the manager, the tour manager, the personal assistant. And you'll be shocked, even the DJ, because the DJ can get you to the manager, or can get you to the vice president of the company. And especially if they speak highly of you. So I created really good, solid relationships with them. And there was a time that I would even fly back that manager to the island. I would offer them an airline ticket, and I would fly them back, and they would enjoy our island. This is what we have it here. This is a treasure. People love the Cayman Islands. So you invite them here, they actually get to know you, and they want to partner with things like this. When you tell them what your vision is and they see the passion, they're like, I want to help you to do this. And that's what happened. But it took years to build it. And I've been doing that ever since, till the list just continued to grow. So when you make those calls now, it's no longer waiting in the lobby of the record label. It's now you have actually created long-lasting partnership and friendships with these people, and they're willing to share their vision with you and jump on board. So that's how I did it. And I always say to people, if you have a passion for something, it will be seen. It will easily be seen by other people. You don't have to do a lot of convincing. So I think that's what it was for me. It was just going and having genuine but difficult conversations, because we are afraid to have difficult conversations with people. Like, there's not a lot of people who's going to walk up to the manager of Rihanna and say, hey, this is my passion. Let me sell you my vision. Yes,
definitely.
And that's what I did. I got used to having uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, no, that's important. And I love what you say about the element of passion, because, I agree with you 100%. That sometimes you yourself don't see how passionate you are. You just know that you love doing whatever, and other people see it. And once other people see you, accomplishing positive things or wanting to accomplish positive things, a lot of times they're going to jump on board just because they want to help you, make that dream a reality. Absolutely. So this is fantastic. So let's get into some of the details of the actual music and networking events. It's running over how many days, Dean?
So 2 days. Everybody arrives next week, Wednesday.
Yes.
We're excited about April 26th. We'll have a very important workshop here in Iron Shore Studios, which will include 10 students from each school here on the island. So everybody will be able to benefit from this. Very limited space, but our hope is to continue to keep doing this. So every student will stand to get a chance to experience this opportunity. That will be on Thursday. Kicks off from 9 till 2 o'clock. So it's an all-day session.
And so if I could just add, it's going to be a combination of a songwriting workshop and an engineering workshop. So trying to give hands-on experience to kids from those two facets of a song creation process.
Which is very important. So they're going to learn how to start a song, the writing techniques, and then go in the studio and figure out how to then engineer it after that. And then Friday's the big ticket item. We managed to make this free to the public. It's going to be at the Marriott Beach Resort at 6:30 p.m. on Friday, just before the Capella Music Festival. So we're inviting anyone. You have to RSVP because the seats are still limited, even though it's free. So we urge you to RSVP, which we'll put a link with Sandra on how you can do that, the email or the number to call. But that's just going to be the big panel discussion. We have Dallas Martin, who's going to be, he's the vice president of Atlantic Records. He's coming down to give a speech, and he's responsible for artists such as Cardi B, Lizzo, Meek Mills, he's working on right now. He did Nipsey Hussle's album. He was responsible for that before he passed away, unfortunately. So he's going to be doing a speech on how to get into the industry. He has a similar story, and he has a Caribbean background, which is going to be very important to us. We have other A&Rs and vice presidents of record label. One that we're very excited about is Edith Bowe. Edith Bowe used to work for Rock Nation, which is owned by Jay-Z. She was 24 years old at the time, working at a high standard job, managing a lot of his artists. Up to this day, she still consults for Jay-Z. So hopefully the plan is one day to get him down here to one of the panel discussions.
Absolutely.
We shall see. Dream big, right?
Yeah,
so
for
it's going to be Friday, and that goes all the way to 9 o'clock.
Okay, nice. Wow. So some real heavy hitters going to be participating in your panel discussion for the Friday evening. So that's awesome. I'd like to see that there's a woman in there because, the music industry, a lot of times people just see women as maybe being performers, rappers, singers, or whatever, but women can get in the engineering booth and they can write songs and they can do all that stuff as well. So that's fantastic. So congratulations to both of you. This is an amazing collaboration. Dane, everyone who's interested, you'll give me all the details. We'll put it on the screen here for you guys. I love also that there's a youthful element of getting young people involved in exploring career opportunities, something that they might think that they're interested in, but sometimes you got to get the hands-on experience before you can kind of decide.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're also here with Minister Andre Ebanks. He's come through Iron Shore Studios. Minister, good afternoon. Is this your first time seeing the studio, by the way?
No,
You've seen it before. Tell us why you're here today and what you think of this amazing collaboration.
It is an amazing thing to have this type of Hollywood-style equipment in Cayman. Two, the initiatives that these gentlemen are doing to support music industry has a connection in my mind to social development because it's another avenue for our youth to get involved in a professional way in this industry. So this isn't a game that these folks are putting on just for entertainment. This is a business. So this will help our youth have another way in which they can earn income and have a professional business within music. It's awesome, and it's a pleasure for the Ministry of Social Development to take part and support. God bless the initiative.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You hear me falling, now who's to blame? Wishing you'd only be more like them. Over and over, you cry yourself to sleep. And you are colder, much colder. If only you could see. Don't you know that you're beautiful, just the way you are, just the way you came. Don't you know that you're beautiful, just the way we are, just the way you are, oh, just the way you are.
So another amazing initiative being brought to you by some of our younger folks. I love it. Music and Network. Please check it out. If you have any young people who are interested, they're bringing it into the schools. But if you have any young people who are interested in a career in music, or they just like music and they're not even sure what it is that they want to do, this is an amazing collaboration between young Caymanian business owners over there at Iron Shore Studios and Mr. Dean Ramon. You guys know that Dean has been in the radio and music industry for quite some time. And so again, check it out. Contact details here You can find out more about this music and network industry panel discussion that's going to be held at the Marriott on Friday from 6:30 until 9 p.m. This is a great event. You know, you've got these young folks. Don't take them Camana Bay Friday to drop them off for the movies unsupervised. Take them to this event where they can see professionals, executive VP of A&R, you know, co-founder of this music management company. This is what they need to be hearing. Business people talking about how they followed their passion, how they followed their dream, and you can still pay the bills with your passion. You can still make a go of it. And there's going to be a bit of an after party special DJ guest. You've got to RSVP to this event because they do have a limited scope, but they are involving the schools and the music and networking event. You can contact them at 922-8000 for free entrance. RSVP, like I said, is required, or info@slscollective.ky. So check it out, folks. Really, really proud of these young men. So, and all the wonderful things that they're doing. You got to start somewhere, honey chill. Well, you know where I'm starting this morning? With some mangoes. I'm eating some mangoes, a little bit of sauce. Miss Iva, thank you so much. Your mango treat is amazing. I'm pretty sure that this is not the breakfast of champions, but y'all know I love me a turned mango. I do not eat ripe mangoes, so don't ever offer me a ripe mango, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, I love me a turned mango. Ooh, I can put some vinegar with this a little bit later on and really spice it up. Miss Iva has a beautiful tree. You know who else has a beautiful tree? Hint, hint. Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa. Link me. It's mango season. What can I say? I live for mango season, but I know they're full of starch, so I do have to try to have them in moderation, honey chat. Speaking of other young Caymanian entrepreneurs, I love all the positivity. Big shout out to Jimian. I think that's his name, from East End. Last week and this week, I decided to pay him a visit and got me some nice roast conch. Oh my God, the roast conch soup and roast conch is to die for. So nice and properly seasoned, properly peppered. And they have it with like a few little fritters, you know, the sauce, like you can just dip it in there. And some breadfruit. Oh, I was in heaven yesterday. Big shout out to Mr. Jimian for that. He's got all the chefs on hand. You can check him out on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He's got his little jerk stand and kitchen and everything going. And you can actually pre-order. I pre-order because I don't want to be sitting there for an hour when I show up. So I do put in my little pre-order and stuff. So yep, go visit East End, beautiful district, and lots of really good chefs, good cooking people out there in one of my favorite districts, East End. So let me just see a few comments. A couple people have come forward about lost keys. Someone just said, I think I might know the owner of these keys from April the 2nd. Honey child, I couldn't tell you what keys I had last week, much less April the 2nd. If you see something in our community page that's lost and found, and you think you might know who it belongs to, I suggest you come forward. The sooner the better. This isn't CSI. We're gonna go back and be able to trace months ago when something was lost and found. We get a lot of messages every single day. I'll do my best, but I don't know. April 2nd is a long time ago in the world of social media, honey chill. So yes. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. So, oh my gosh, these people just really begin to get on my nerves, but we're going to talk about them tomorrow. CICA, the Athletic Association, they're still going back and forth, and they had NACAC send a letter saying that yes, the accreditation wasn't done correctly. CAA, whatever you're calling yourself these days, we understand that, but you missed the point. You're missing the forest for the trees, honey child, right? It wasn't Lacey's fault. She didn't do anything wrong. You guys overreacted and had her removed by force, which is what we have a problem with. That's the unnecessary element of what you did. And we still want you to resign. because you're still sitting on a board with Sidoni Mothersill, who was denied female children in this community access to being protected from her sexual predator husband. Y'all are really missing the key things here. You know, it's not about the accreditation. Oh, technically the accreditation wasn't done right. And it was, you know, they're blaming one of the lady who came on the show, they're blaming her and says that she took it in her hands to grab the passes when they hadn't been signed off on. Okay, fine. You're right. And you still did it wrong. You still handled it wrong. Sidoni still made the decision to have security and police come and escort this girl away. That is wrong. And there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can say about the accreditation process, Cayman Athletic Association, that's going to change that. You guys need to step down. Like, seriously. I don't understand this. And so they have some letter now that has come out from the from NACAC directly saying, yes, you know, they understand that the accreditation has been an issue and it was obtained wrong. And it's like, you know, when a person just isn't getting what the problem is, that's this association. They are so thick in the head that they don't understand why we want them to resign. It's not about the technicality of the accreditation. But there's still questions about how everybody else was okay getting an accreditation, but y'all would not sign off on Lacey's. That still remains a question, because that is being driven by, as Caymanians would say, bad-mindedness. And we know exactly where it stems from, because Lance removed her pedophile husband from the Cayman Islands Athletic Association. And so now it's payback time. Sidoni, you need to be gone, child. Y'all, listen to me. We're gonna start the petition this week. I want to see how many of y'all can put your mouth, put your signature where your mouth is. We're gonna start the petition this week. All right. Ms. Dean says roast conch. Yes, honey child, it's a thing, and it is amazing, well seasoned. Now, if you're not a person that like peppers, it probably not gonna really be for you. But lots of seasoned and hot peppers thrown in there. You gotta be careful not to bite one of them, honey chill. But it is delicious, and I mean big pieces of conch too. And the conch is so soft. You know, you gotta get conch just right. Otherwise, conch is kind of tough. And this is nice and amazingly soft and buttery. And oh my God. I actually bought two, so I'm gonna eat one a little bit later on today. For lunch, I think. All right, so what else happened over the weekend? So I saw my lawyer emailing the DPP's office back and forth. So, you know, they had a deadline of a week to get my attorney some documents. The court said you have a week to get her additional documents. They have allowed that deadline to come and go, and we still don't have any additional documents. You see, this is where I take issue specifically with the slackness of some of these agencies, including the DPP's office. Do not waste my time. Your time might be valued nothing to you, but my time as an individual, as a community member, as a business owner, as a mother, as a wife, friend, family is very, very valuable. And I cannot give you one shred of respect if you're wasting my time. If you have a case, by all means, bring your case and we will hash it out in court. What I do not appreciate is you wasting my time where I'm going to be waiting on you, deadlines come and go. You know, if the deadline was on our end, they'd be kicking up a fuss that we didn't meet a deadline. So my lawyer, rightfully so, kicked up a fuss when Friday came and went, and she still didn't have any additional documents from them, although they claim that they may have additional documents. And then the person who's emailing her is like, well, I'm not really the one running the case, but I'm kind of responding. And her, listen, whoever is running the case, Ms. Petite, please get yourself together. You're accusing me of some very serious offenses, which I take serious insult to. But if you have a case, bring your case. Now, ironically enough, somebody was sitting on the plane with John Felder. I'm told that he came into the jurisdiction on Friday by way of Honduras. He was on the La Ceiba flight. Here's a man who can be up and down all over the place, honey child, traveling, but yet he can't find money to pay the court order where he owes me $55,000. Mr. Felder, sort out your geriatric con artistry ways, please. Yes, you're a con artist of the highest rank. Find my money. You are here in the Cayman Islands right now. Listen very carefully. Please read my purple lips this morning. You've been ordered by a grand court of the Cayman Islands. And you accepted the terms of this, by the way. This was, you finally gave up and said, okay, yeah, you don't have no case. And Miss Sandy was right the whole time that you were claiming defamation. I would really appreciate it if you would pay my legal fees, which I had to pay out of pocket because of you, Joker. The court ordered it. You agreed to it. Now you should pay it. Instead, you're gallivanting all over Cuba trying to hoodwink those poor people. Somebody, they're going to fix you in Cuba. They're going to really fix you because they're not like Caymanians, I can tell you that. You go and scam one of them and you're going to find out how justice really go. Now you have trumped up criminal charges against me. I would appreciate getting my money, sir. And I hope the DPP not sitting there going, oh, well, Sandy's publicly asking for her money. That is also bribery. It's not bribery. The court ordered it. I just want my money. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandra. What you call him, sir, for?
They're getting me vexed. Trust me, you're right. That term is wasted on him.
Sir, and why does this island, unless he was one of them that was given status after being here 8 months, like some people tried to do with one pastor, and that pastor refused it downright. So, anyway, one day, you may not get your money back, Miss Sandra, and I feel sorry about that. But how in the world that they keep letting this man in here to do what? He's no use to himself. He's no use to the community. And people like that should not be coming in this island. Mm-hmm. Because next thing he'll end up at NAU claiming this and claiming that. I'm getting so tired of hearing what the government not. I'm not putting the blame on this government, God forbid, because they got a mess. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to be any politician to clean up a big, big mess, Miss Sandra. Yes. Anybody with any common sense, and I know you got a lot of it, would know that they have a big, big mess to clean up. These kind of things should not be happening in our 3 small islands that has the laws dropping out of our ears, but they're not enforced. How in the world can this go on and big places with millions of people can keep track of these things and enforce it, but we can't? You know why? Because we have politicians. Some. Nobody don't make no mistake and say, this caller can say her name. Her name is Shirlene. Come from Northwest Point, West Bay. Married to a Swiss. I'm a Swiss citizen too. 51 years. How in the world can anybody say that this man is worthwhile coming into this island or even given Cayman status? Maybe I'm wrong. I hope to God not, because we do not need any more people depending on our government to support them. Keep things like him out of this island. Keep him out. But you know what? The younger generation, some of them again, don't have any guts. The older ones, bless their soul, they had guts. Some has passed on, And we need to have their simple wisdom, but they had wisdom. A lot of it, and they used it because they were hard-working people. I hope that you get your money back, but believe me, I doubt it. I really doubt it, Miss Sandra, and I wish that you do get it back. But like I said before, I really doubt it. Always a good program. I love to listen to you because it's the hard, cold truth. Bring it up, Sandra. You
Thank you, my dear.
every day, and God bless you. God bless you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, I mean, I agree with that caller. Probably never see that money, honey child. And I had to pay the legal fees because lawyers don't work for free. But it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable how people take advantage of the system. And yes, he's coming in to this jurisdiction now as though, he can come here on vacation and it's no big deal. But Caymanians, child, we got eyes and ears everywhere. So the second he boarded that plane, somebody called me and said, but wait, Sandy, this look like John Felder on this plane? Coming in from La Ceiba. And I said, really? Because I knew he was in Honduras a couple of days ago. I wonder if he's going to be staying with Dr. Frank. I see Dr. Frank still, defending him and his foolishness because Dr. Frank has a beef to pick with me. Listen, you can have a beef with me. That's not a problem. But what you should be mindful of, Dr. Frank, is you're the one who looks like you got another parrot on your shoulders when you take this kind of approach, because this don't make no sense. Take a beef with me, but you can't take a beef with wrong is wrong and right is right. John Felder lost his defamation case. He had no ground to stand on. And because he's lost that case, now he's trying to hoodwink the system in a different way. And I don't think the system is going to be hoodwinked by the likes of John Felder anymore. And when you support someone like that, Dr. Frank, that says more about your character than anything else. And so I'm going to just ask you to listen to what Michael Jackson said and take a cold, hard look at the man in the mirror. Garrett says, I think when it comes to big places with multi-millions of people, need to get their laws properly enforced. Otherwise, they will be far dirtier than anything, but still does not excuse us. Well, this is the way I see it, Gareth, because we are so small, right? I feel like we should be able to fix our problems more. Like we look at big jurisdictions and they're all screwed up too, and they can't get it right. But, they have a lot more to deal with. We are on a much smaller scale. Every single problem we have here, from our social ills, financial problems, everything is so much smaller. We're like a little microcosm of what you have in these big cities and bigger countries. So my gosh, if we can't sort ourselves out and get some of these issues fixed, it does make you kind of wonder, what hope will there be? I don't know. I'm just here shaking my head most days, wondering myself. And I just hope to add a little bit of balance to the conversation. So you guys heard George call in this morning. A lot of people were very surprised to hear George, because y'all know the last time we tried to call him, he said, I didn't have permission to call him. So, my WhatsApp was blowing up the second people recognized that was George speaking to the premier earlier. And they said, what? George is calling the program? Does he have permission to call you? Well, I just had to laugh, folks. I take it all in stride. I keep telling you, there's very little that I take personal. Once you don't talk about my child and my family, you can say anything you want and we can just keep it moving. Because I know some of y'all not playing with a full deck, and it varies. Some days you're more lucid than others. And so we just go with it. The days that you're lucid and you're having a moment, I'm like, yes, honey child, let's keep the conversation focused. The days that you want to make it about me and you, when it really isn't, and you're calling in other talk shows and whatever, I laugh is what I do. Because trust me, if you don't laugh, only God knows what can happen. But he's feeling good this morning. He is saying to me that him and I have so much in common. According to him, we really don't, but that's what he thinks. And he says, all is forgiven. Because I said, but wait a minute. I don't have permission to call you, but you're calling me. What sort of thing is this? Because this is what people are asking me. He laughed and he said, all is forgiven. GPS rerouting, I guess. Somebody took their medication, honey chill. And he says, love you, Sandra. We're so much alike. Not really, but okay. Hardworking, smart, both go-getters, and A kickers when needed. Love you. We have been friends for a long, long time. Let's try to keep it that way. The man has even pulled out his Micromatrix training certificate from back in 2014. George, you didn't do a good job of keeping it clean, though. What kind of marks are on it? He says, see, your certificate is part of my office certificates. Your email again, please. Want to send you something just as FYI. No need to do anything with it. Strictly FYI and your files. Oh, Lord Jesus. Y'all know me already. I don't, how can I put this? I deal with a lot of different people in this public space, yes? And then there's a limit. That's why I don't go to lunch with certain people. I don't engage people. We're not friends. We're not at that level. So don't ever get your wires crossed. In your head, we might be friends, but we're actually not in the real world. But we can still keep it moving. There's zero reason for us to be enemies and to take things personally. Just because I'm not your friend doesn't mean I'm your enemy. It just means that I'm indifferent to you. And so, it is what it is. But I'm glad that George is feeling better because that's going to be good for everybody around him. And I will continue to speak the truth. So please, folks, understand what it is that I do. I speak the truth to the best of my ability, and that's what it is. Don't take any offense to it. Right? Check out this new little design here. Y'all, we've been working on a lot of stuff in the background. Look at this. Isn't this cute? Y'all like that? Alejandro says, so Sandy, it's either that you're forgetful or he's delusional. Well, I don't forget much of anything, honey chill. But I think it's important for us to just move past stuff. You just have to, I don't believe in holding grudges against people. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
It's me again, Shirlene. I'm sorry to bother you, but I had to make some little thing straight with you. The other day when I called in and I said I don't like Tampa. Mm-hmm. Well, this is one of the reasons why. When I was 15 years old, mm-hmm. I have a lot of family from Honduras and from Grand Cayman. The biggest part of it is from Grand Cayman. Mm-hmm. My family in Tampa, a lot of them, mm-hmm. the seamen, of course, and my uncles were all seamen. So they lived in Tampa. One of my aunts tried to get me into a community college at age 15, mm-hmm. pass all exams and whatnot. Went there the first day and sat down. Now my great grandmother is part Indian, so is my grandfather. Mm-hmm. And most of us look like Indians. Mm-hmm. The teacher or the tutor for that particular subject that I was going to be given that morning or that day, mm-hmm. at that time they had some problems in Tampa, white and black, who was white and who was black. Mm-hmm. I'm brunette with high cheekbones and dark hair. Mm-hmm. Okay. Know what she says? Mm-hmm. You half-breeds, and pointed to me and some Cherokee Indians that was also there, American Indians. Sit to the back, please. And that's the reason, Miss Sandra. That's the reason. It gave me a sour taste in my mouth, and I will never forget it. At that time, mm-hmm. I know I would have been put in juvenile jail or whatever they have there. I only felt like just walking up to her and boxing what the older people say, boxing her lights out.
Mm-mm. Well,
That's how I felt that.
yes, but might I remind you that doesn't have anything to do with Tampa. That is just one
No,
individual.
no. It was in Tampa.
No, I
And
understand, but don't make that taint how you feel about Tampa necessarily.
It does, but I still respect the fact that some of my folks made a living there. They lived there. They had homes there, but now most of them have moved back. I still have some of my folks from Honduras living there. Two nurses at St. Joseph Hospital, but it still gave me a sour taste in my mouth at that age, and I haven't gotten rid of it. Just hope that I will. I'll go there for shopping, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's how I want to clear it up with you. Okay. I'm not saying that everybody should feel for me or feel like I feel.
Yes.
But at that age, you understand. I know you do. You're an intelligent woman. So thank you for the time again, Sandra. And like I always say, God bless you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's a very interesting. Thank you for clarifying and for letting us know why you feel that way, because things can happen. To the caller's point, things can happen to us in life, folks, that makes us feel a particular way about an entire city. Tampa's a big city, or just even groups of people. Like we then judge people. You have one bad experience with a boyfriend who was Jamaican. All of a sudden, you cussing all Jamaicans. Folks, I think we need to reserve and understand how, as human beings, how our emotions can really sometimes get the better of us, and just be really, really mindful to not take a broad brush and spread over your experiences in life. Because, all right, I totally get it. I understand the situation. But, at some point, that is just a situation with you and an individual person. And that individual person might be crazy. They might have been having a bad day. They might just be prejudiced, or there's so many things that can explain that kind of behavior. But don't let it taint you and an entire organization. I was kind of thinking about this the other day on Friday's program, when we were talking about tourism and hospitality and having Caymanians get more involved in the industry. And Miss Amelia was harping on and on about the Ritz-Carlton. And I said, it's human nature that when you have a bad experience, you're going to attach that bad experience to, a place or a whole group of people or an organization. And sometimes you have to step back and try to remove yourself from that and try to be a little bit more objective about the situation. So her experiences, she said she worked there many, many years ago. DART organization now owns the Ritz-Carlton, which they didn't before. The experience might be completely different. And let me be honest with you. I've never worked for the DART organization, but I know a lot of Caymanians who do. And the vast majority of them have no complaints. They say that they're happy in their jobs. It's a good company to work for. They have relatively decent, retention. They try to promote Caymanians. I've known Caymanian HR managers who decided, I don't want to do HR anymore. I want to go to law school and get into law. And the DART organization made room for them to move over into the legal side of the company. And there's lots and lots of scope within the DART organization, because they have so many different businesses that, if you go in there and you find that your particular job really isn't where you want to stay, you can go into different areas. I kind of chuckled when we were talking about hospitality last week. Look at Miss Diane Connolly. She used to work for government. As far as I know, she's a long-serving civil servant, right? And the DART organization has recruited her as their, hospitality training manager. And she was over at Works. She was supposed to be managing WORC. And so now she's a hospitality program manager. Before that, she was with NWDA for over 5 years. She was at the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism as a tourism training and development coordinator for over 4 years. And before that, she was the product development officer for the Department of Tourism. So she started with tourism with government back in 2006 based on her LinkedIn account. And she didn't leave there until last year, and she went to move to the DART organization. So listen, say what you will, But it seems to me that there is a lot of scope and opportunity for Caymanians to move into positions even after being a senior civil servant and working with government for some 17 years. And, you know, we've got Ben Mead that's over there. We have, I mean, I couldn't go through all the list, but there's a lot of people who work with the DART organization, both directly and indirectly. They're lawyers who they'll pass business on to and so forth. So, you know, I think that we need to be a little bit more fair and know that sometimes our experiences in life isn't everyone's experience. And maybe we were experiencing something that could be attributed to one or two rogue employers or other employees. And that's not the position of the organization. And that is not what they're trying to support. So, you know, I just caution people when they kind of make these broad statements. I mean, I know working at Maples and Calder, what my experiences were back in the day, but I also know that there's a lot of managing directors who've since come after that. It's been 20 something years. A lot has changed. So when I hear people now talking about how they enjoy working at Maples and they, you know, they treat their staff well and they have a good experience, I'm happy for those individuals, you know, and I'm glad that the corporate culture has changed, because maybe what was acceptable 15, 20, even 30 years ago is no longer acceptable. And, you know, that's a good thing in most instances. Yeah. So give people the benefit of the doubt. There's no Caymanian who's interested in the hospitality industry right now that shouldn't be seeing the value, especially young people, of working with a Kimpton, a, you know, Ritz-Carlton, even the Hampton property as well. Indigo's coming. These are all top of the line brands that if you're serious about hospitality, you attach your name to that brand, you go in there and you do a good job, you could move to any job anywhere in the world. That's how flexible that experience and that opportunity is going to give you. So I'm all for taking advantage of it. Don't not take advantage of a situation because you know, your grandmother tell you she had a bad experience 50 years ago with government or with the DART organization. Step up to the plate now, honey child, and do what you got to do. Caymanian Problem says, try to get through the glass ceiling they have. Sounds like enough people and companies in DART's pocket. Well, let me say this. Anywhere you go, if you're not working for yourself, there's always a glass ceiling. I was actually having this conversation just on Saturday when I was over at Iron Shore Studios. And speaking to young Nathan, he's saying, you know, he's venturing out, he's doing his own thing. Ironically enough, he used to work for Maples and he's doing his own thing. And a lot of people try to discourage him. Like, oh no, you know, you got to stay in corporate Cayman because that's the stability in life that you want. You're going to get a good paycheck and whatever. No matter where you go, you're at Maples, there's a glass ceiling. You're at government, there's a glass ceiling. You're at DART, there's got to be a glass ceiling. You know, this is a reality of working for other people, is that a lot of times there's only so far that you can ever go. You don't want a glass ceiling, or sometimes I tell them it's not even a glass ceiling, it's a concrete ceiling. Go and work for yourself. Then you set the pace. You go out there, you hustle, and your income is directly correlated to your ability to hustle out in this world and to get clients and to make your clients happy. That's the only time you're not going to have a glass ceiling. That's the real world. Anywhere else, you will be restricted based on a number of different factors. And that is life. So, you know, it's one of the reasons why I work for myself, because I'm looking up and I'm seeing nothing but clear skies. No concrete ceiling, no glass ceiling, no thatch ceiling, nothing. Sophia says that they pay good, I hear. Well, I'm telling you, again, the people that work there, the Caymanians I know that work there, they're not going nowhere. This person says, I wish this woman would stop calling. Also, what you receive could be from what you put out. And a lot of it has to do with attitude, folks. The right attitude can attract opportunities to you. I myself in life have proven that. And the wrong attitude can close doors to you. So even after you've had bad experiences, there are times that you need to adjust your attitude a little bit and be cognizant and mindful of how you can just do better and come with a fresh and a different attitude, and you'd be surprised what you attract to you. So I noticed that we don't have any news scheduled for today. I'm assuming Kevin's actually traveling today. He probably got a little bit too busy and forgot to upload the news. Not a problem. That's perfectly fine. We'll go ahead and end the show on time today. I am still sorting out the radios. I've got the list, and I'm going to tell you guys where to go pick it up. I'm going to hopefully just do it at the DMS studio, but I just want to confirm with them that that's okay. And then, yeah, I'll get all that sorted out this week. So, but I need to let you know which of you are actually going to get, because I don't think we have enough, but we're going to be ordering some more. All right, beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please have yourselves a safe and absolutely fantastic Monday entire day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.